I became a vegetable to save my childhood sweetheart. The very next year, he brought home a girl named Yi Qingqing and told my parents, she's an orphan, she can take care of you in your old age. For 10 years as a vegetable, I bore witness to his romance with Yi Qingqing. I also witnessed Yi Qingqing inheriting all of my parents' estate. On the day I was about to wake up, my childhood friend pulled out my oxygen tube. Finding a new identity for Qingqing really took some doing, he said. Only then did I realize he had orchestrated everything. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my childhood friend was in peril. I stood rooted to the spot, not moving a muscle. If I remember correctly, my childhood friend has a half-brother. Hey kids, where do your parents work? Beside me, 10-year-old He Shuxing said with a proud look. My parents are the chairman of the company, we're really rich. The first thing I heard upon my rebirth was that same, hauntingly familiar line. To my astonishment, I found myself reborn after death, right back before everything began. Then, the middle-aged woman reached out, offering me a piece of candy. Is this little girl one too? Are her parents rich as well? Just as He Shuxing was about to answer, I immediately objected coldly. No, my parents are just ordinary workers. They're not as wealthy as his family. Before He Shuxing could even process it, he puffed out his chest and declared proudly, her family really isn't as rich as mine. Upon hearing this, the woman's smile widened. Oh, really? She then grabbed He Shuxing's arm and called out to the people approaching from behind, take them both. Their families are definitely loaded. Once we get the ransom, we'll off the boy and sell the girl for an extra payday. It was only then that He Shuxing snapped to his senses. Before anyone else could react, he opened his mouth and sank his teeth hard into the wrist in front of him. Arg, you little brat, you got a death wish, daring to bite me. The two of us bolted out. On the road, He Shuxing gasped for breath and told me to buy some time. You won't die if they catch you, you'll just have a rough time. I'll go home and get help from mom and dad, you can come back then. As he said this, he reached out to pull me behind him. I didn't hold back either, driving my elbow straight back into his nose. The sudden, sharp pain forced him to stop in his tracks. You have to believe your parents will come to save you. The people behind me gave chase, but I used my small frame to my advantage and darted into an alleyway. The crowd thickened at the intersection, and the pursuers didn't dare follow any further. Damn it, this is bad. The little girl has seen our faces. We can't ask for the money now. Several men worked together to carry He Shuxing away. I hid motionless in the corner, watching him get taken. He was crying so hard that tears and snot were smeared all over his face as he reached out to me, begging for help. How can you be so heartless? Save me, please save me. I'm my parents' only son. If you don't save me, they'll never let you get away with this. But soon, they found him too noisy. A rag soaked with some pungent chemical was shoved over his mouth. He Shuxing quickly fell silent and was tossed into the vehicle like a dead pig, watching the vehicle fade into the distance. I replied silently in my heart, because I save people, not animals. As for him being a son of the He family, that was even less of a concern. I seem to recall he has an illegitimate younger brother, but from today onward, he is the sole heir of the He family. Too, in my past life, I tried to save He Shuxing. After he pushed me down, I struggled relentlessly with the human trafficker. In the end, they grabbed my head and smashed it violently against the ground, causing permanent brain damage. Thinking I was dead, the trafficker simply left me there, and He Shuxing, who had promised to get help for me, didn't reappear until nightfall. Just like that, I became a vegetable, able to hear and understand every word spoken around me, yet utterly powerless to respond. My parents never gave up on me. After losing me, they were consumed by grief and anger, aging 10 years in just one. Yet the very person I sacrificed everything to save, He Shuxing, had the gall to bring home a girl named Yi Qingqing the following year, urging my parents to adopt her under the pretense of having her care for them in their old age. He exploited my parents' guilt over my condition to pave the way for Yi Qingqing, and I was forced to watch, helpless, as Yi Qingqing brazenly claimed everything that was rightfully mine. I even inherited my parents' estate after they passed away, the day before their wedding. I was overjoyed to discover the first signs of my consciousness returning, only to be noticed by the two of them, who were putting on a show of visiting me. He Shuxing pinned my face down with one hand and yanked out my oxygen tube with the other. Just in case I had regained the ability to breathe on my own, Yi Qingqing handed over a pillow. They pinned my hands down with a death grip. As I was suffocating, I heard a chilling whisper that sent a shiver down my spine. Forging a new identity for Qingqing has been a real brain twister. I'm this close to pulling it off. Did you really think I'd let you ruin everything now? If you could lie in a hospital bed as a vegetable for 10 years for my sake, surely you can die for me too. If you woke up, you'd just be trying to claim a share of Ching Ching's inheritance, wouldn't you? I couldn't understand why they were doing this to me, or why they were so convinced, as if it were a given, that I was the one trying to steal Yi Ching Ching's fortune. If only he hadn't been saved, none of this would have happened. Heaven showed me no mercy. No one came to my aid in those final minutes as I was smothered, and I died in agony, choking for air. Having been reborn, how could I possibly stumble at the same crossroads again? He Shuxing should pray that I never return, because compared to coming back to face my vengeance, it would be far more comfortable to just go straight to hell and be reborn. 3. After getting home, I first ran down to the basement via the freight elevator at the back, then took the regular elevator all the way up to the 4th floor and changed all my clothes. Call the police for help, in your dreams. At 7 in the evening, our family was gathered around the dinner table. Even though my parents were always busy making a living, whenever they had a moment, they'd both come home and happily cook a meal together. The familiar flavor bloomed on my tongue, and I was so overwhelmed I nearly cried. For the sake of saving that worthless scoundrel, I missed my parents' final moments and lived a pathetic, wasted decade. A knock came at the door, followed by the anxious voices of Mr. and Mrs. He calling from outside. Shuxing still hasn't come back. Mew, have you seen him today? I replied with polite concern. I've been practicing the piano at home all day. I haven't seen him. Could he have lost track of the time? Mr. He's face was deathly pale. We saw him head south on the security footage, but we've searched for ages and can't find him. That little rascal is going to be the death of us. If that's the case, we should call the police. Let's all help look for him. My mother quickly helped Mrs. He, who was so anxious she was in tears, to the sofa. Don't worry, she said. Shuxing is a bit of a handful. He's probably just gotten carried away playing somewhere and lost track of time. Soon after, my parents organized everyone in the villa to begin a thorough, room-by-room search. I knew He Shuxing had probably been snatched outright by now. I scoffed inwardly at the kidnapper's lack of nerve. With today's technology, even if I remembered their faces, they could still extort money first. Worst case, I could just gain weight or lose it later. In a few years, who would even remember this whole incident? You seem rather pleased with yourself. I froze mid-step. Standing behind me was He Shuxing's illegitimate half-brother, so they brought him along for the search too. Talk about perfect timing. Saves me the trouble of tracking him down myself. You and He Shuxing were close. Now he's missing, and you're standing there grinning. Did you have something to do with this? The two underdeveloped teenagers stood facing each other, each cautiously probing the other. What's the problem? I've just taken care of your biggest worry. From today on, no matter who you were before, you are now the sole heir of the He family. Mrs. He was injured while giving birth to He Shuxing years ago, leaving her unable to conceive again. Having He Shuxing was already a stretch for her, and there was no chance of a third child appearing under her watch. Aren't you afraid I'll expose you? A cold wind brushed through my hair. I looked up at the sky. The moon was veiled by clouds tonight, its light dim and faint. My lips moved slightly. Can you believe it? If I hadn't dodged quickly today, it would be my parents crying right now. So I'm just giving them a taste of their own medicine. Besides, what does it matter if you have your doubts? You're not favored in the He family. No one will believe you. And you might just make everyone dislike you all over again at this critical moment. I stepped closer to him, one step at a time, the wind carrying the warmth of my words to whisper by his ear. I can help you. Why? I gave a self-deprecating smile. Of course it's not free. We'll make a deal. I'll help you establish yourself in the He family. All you have to do is dig your claws in, hold that position tight, and build up your leverage until no one can touch you. After saying that, I lifted my index finger and gently hooked it under their chin. Besides, the fact that you're asking means you have ambition too, doesn't it? The wind blew the clouds obscuring the moonlight apart, and the light shone down upon our heads, merging us into one. If not now, when? For, just as I suspected, there were no leads in He Shuxing's disappearance. It was as if the person had vanished into thin air, overwhelmed by intense grief. Mr. and Mrs. He's mental state became somewhat fragile. Every day, I had the kitchen prepare meals and sent He Shuxing to visit the two of them. Just as I had imagined, they gave him the cold shoulder. With a thud, a pile of books half a person tall came crashing down, burying He Shuxing. Even with his normally aloof demeanor, he couldn't help but widen his eyes in shock. What is this? The study materials for the provincial competition the school is entering are ready. You've got 1 week to prepare. I've already had the teacher sign you up. You're on my team. He looked puzzled. Isn't the priority right now to win over my parents? I scoffed. Having you deliver meals was just to get your face recognized. What really matters is having something they actually value in your hands. With me pushing him, Hishuchin managed to memorize what should have been an impossible amount of material in just 1 week. When the competition ended, the two of us won the gold medal thanks to our fluent speaking skills and impeccable speed of completion. On the day the school notified us to collect the award, I lured the two of them to the campus under the pretext of helping Hishuchin apply for a leave of absence first. The moment the principal saw the two of them, he eagerly rushed over. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Your child is truly exceptional. Winning this gold medal has really brought great honor to our school. The He parents stared blankly. Our son, that's right. Your Hishuchin won the gold medal in the provincial competition. The next step is the national contest. With this achievement, he could even secure direct admission to high school in the future. Finally, the He parents turned their gaze to Hishuchin, who was trailing behind them. I had taken special care with his appearance, styling his hair to bear a 70% resemblance to how Hishuchin looked before his disappearance. Seizing the moment while they were still dazed, I pressed on. Please don't be sad, uncle and aunt. Shushing may be gone, but you still have a son. Hishuchin, catching on perfectly, added, you've raised me all these years. Even if I can't compare to brother Shushing, I'll do everything in my power to support our family. We're family. I'll keep the home fires burning until brother Shushing comes back. The He parents' spirits were visibly lifted by the time they left. After they left, Hishuchin and I gave each other a high five. Pleasure doing business with you. Pleasure doing business with you. There's no such thing as a purely one-sided love, but there are partnerships that are inseparable. We are indeed waiting for Hishushing's return, but the He family he returns to will become his personal hell. 5. Hishuchin did not disappoint my expectations. Over the past 8 years, we have each won several highly prestigious awards in our respective fields, when we teamed up for competitions. Other schools called us the Tornado. We were unstoppable, winning every match we entered. Gradually, the name Hishuchin faded from everyone's lips, completely replaced by the 3 syllables, Hishuchin. Walking around campus, some people even shipped us as a couple. Of course, we each had our own fans too. I'd get love letters stuffed in my bag almost daily. Someone even got up an hour early just to leave breakfast on my desk. But that only happened a few times. One day, right after I sat down, Hishuchin walked straight up to a guy and looked down at him with disdain, saying, please stop sending these things. Her family is perfectly capable of ensuring she doesn't go to school hungry. His tone was polite enough, but the intimidating aura he projected scared off anyone else from ever giving me food again. I rested my cheek on my hand, propped on the desk, and said, are you that possessive? Look how you've scared off all my admirers. Hichinshu didn't answer my question. Instead, he grabbed one of my hands and deftly trimmed my newly grown nails with a clipper. With a final, gentle puff to blow away the clippings, he lifted his gaze to meet mine. You never know what's in these things. I just want you to be a bit more cautious. After school, as I was packing my bag, I smoothly pulled out a pinkish blue envelope. He raised an eyebrow, his backpack slung over one shoulder. A love letter. Someone's popular. I nudged his chest with the back of my hand. Oh, come off it. You think you get fewer than I do. Who's the one whose backpack is always bursting with chocolates every Valentine's Day? He let his face rest in my hand, following my gentle pressure. You remember all that. Jealous. That's rich. I should be the one asking if you're jealous. Hishuchin's face, usually so cold and aloof in public, was animated before me. He arched one of his handsome, sharp eyebrows with a hint of disdain. You'd actually be interested in those people. Besides, I'm just worried you'll break their fragile hearts. If they knew that beneath your lovely exterior beats a heart as wicked as a witch's, would they still like you? His gaze was deep, holding a hint of inquiry and sincerity. I grabbed the end of his tie and gave it a light tug, pulling him into a collision with me. Our breaths mingled with the scent of sandalwood, an air of ambiguity hanging between us. What's there to fear? Even if everyone else dislikes me, I'll still have you, won't I? Haven't we been in this together? Partners in crime, tied to the same fate for a long time now. He leaned in closer, seemingly displeased with my subsequent retreat. So, you admit you like me. If you continue to be useful, then yes. 6. Over the course of 8 years, both the He and Su families had advanced significantly. What were once considered small to medium enterprises had transformed into some of the most prominent conglomerates in S-City. Hishuchin had begun taking on responsibilities in the family business from the time he was in high school. His parents' former prejudices against him had long since vanished. Whenever they went out for business meetings and mentioned Hishuchin, they would invariably receive praise from the CEOs of other companies. With a son like Hishuchin, who brought them so much prestige, who would even remember the long-gone Hishushing, at my 18th birthday party, Hishuchin stood by my side in a perfectly tailored suit. Every guest who came by teased our parents, saying they had truly raised a match made in heaven, a perfect golden couple. Just as the MC was outlining the day's schedule, a disheveled, greasy-faced young man burst out from the hallway. Mr. He, who was preparing his speech, didn't even look up. "Get him out of here. Does this look like a place for just anyone?" As the server was pulling the intruder by the arm, a heart-wrenching cry of "Dad!" shattered the convivial atmosphere. All eyes were fixed on him. The man broke free, scrambled to his feet, and pushed back the greasy clump of hair, revealing a face that bore some resemblance to Mr. He. "I'm your real son. What the hell is this piece of shit doing up there? Giving a speech like he's somebody. Get the fuck down from there. You motherfucker." The string of 3 or 4 expletives in a single sentence made everyone in the room wince. He turned and saw me, then immediately became agitated and lunged forward. "I'll kill you, you bitch. If it weren't for you, I never would have suffered like that." Hishuchin tensed the muscles in his leg and kicked him away. "If you've got rabies, go to a hospital. Stop making a scene here." Just as the situation reached a stalemate, a young woman walked in. I took one look and found it quite interesting. It was actually Yi Qingqing from my past life. She first helped Hishushing to his feet. "Uncle, Auntie, Shushing is just overwhelmed. We only just managed to escape that living hell, so our emotions are running high. But he really is your son. He's been trying to find a way back all these years. Thankfully, it's not too late." As she spoke, she deliberately tilted her body to show off her wounds, trying to prove just how much she had suffered. The dinner party ended on a sour note, leaving Mr. and Mrs. He with no choice but to force smiles and suggest they discuss the matter another time. Hishuchin, whose coming-of-age celebration had been ruined, showed no particular expression on his face. Back at the He residence, Hishushing plopped down on the sofa without a care, his oil-stained clothes and all. He sat there slouched with his legs crossed, glaring at Hishuchin with utter disdain. "Damn it, I finally made it back. Tell him to get lost. Now that I'm here, there's no need for him to stick around." His fingers, misshapen from years of hard labor, gripped Yi Qingqing's arm as he pointed at her. "This is my woman. From now on, she's the He family's daughter-in-law. As for the betrothal gifts, a few tens of millions will do just fine, and all the gold jewelry and such, go for the absolute highest standard." Mr. and Mrs. He exchanged a bewildered look. "Shushing, you've just come home. We understand it hasn't been easy for you, but some things need to be taken slowly. In this life." The once smooth and perfect contours of Hishushing's face had become rough and angular under the influence of betel nut. His upturned, 3 white eyes held a sinister glint. He pursed his lips and spat a mouthful of saliva onto the ground. "Pa, don't think I don't know. You're clearly playing favorites with them. Hishuchin is nothing but my replacement. Don't forget, I'm your son, even in death. I'm the only one with the right to carry your funeral basin. And as for that little bitch Sumyu, my disappearance back then was entirely her doing." I immediately recoiled in shock. Stepping back behind Mother He as tears welled up in my eyes. I was actually quite happy that Brother Shushing had returned, and now he's accusing me of causing it all, just because I didn't go out with you back then and disappear together. You're pinning everything on me. If you, Auntie, misunderstand me too, then I just won't come back anymore. Mrs. He immediately pulled me into a hug. "Silly girl, I've long thought of you as my own daughter. How could I ever misunderstand you?" Hishushing kicked the coffee table aside. "Enough, cut the act, you idiot. Where's my room?" The group scrambled to start heading upstairs. As I walked out the door, Yi Qingqing followed me out. "So, you've been reborn too, haven't you?" I turned around to see Yi Qingqing wearing a haughty expression. "If I hadn't put in some effort, you might have actually succeeded. Too bad for you. When you're up against me, losing is your only option." I raised an eyebrow. "What makes you so sure?" Her face was a picture of absolute confidence. "If I could take it from you once, I can do it again. Just you wait and see." I watched her retreating figure and smiled faintly. People are just like that, hopelessly stubborn, never learning. Even a poor student knows you can't apply the same formula to every problem. But it's just as well, fools like that never feel guilty for hurting you, but they will tremble at your revenge. I said the same thing to her in my heart. "Well then, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to show you how you'll sink deeper and deeper into the mire, with no hope of ever getting out." 7. The next day, I paid my usual visit. Yi Qingqing was the one guarding the door. The moment she saw it was me, her expression darkened. You have some nerve showing up here. You're not welcome in this house. Hearing the commotion, He's mother turned around, recognizing me. She quickly pulled me inside. Seizing the moment, I offered the jewelry I was holding. Auntie, since I'm not welcome here, I won't come in. These are gifts my parents specially prepared upon hearing that brother Shuxing had returned. I'll be on my way now. Mrs. He grabbed my hand and pulled me further into the house. Her voice carried a hint of impatience. What kind of thing is that to say? Of course I welcome you. You and Shuchen are so close. Don't let some insignificant person come between you. With that, she shot Yi Qingqing a look, her expression dripping with utter disdain. Since when are you part of this family? Since when does the He family take orders from you? You'd better remember your place, or don't blame me for being ruthless, Mrs. He took my hand and led me inside. As we passed Yi Qingqing, I shot her a provocative smirk, which made her stamp her foot in fury right where she stood. Just as I was about to go upstairs, a loud crash echoed from the study on the second floor. I'm the young master of this house. Who the hell does he think he is? I said, throw all his stuff out. Are you deaf or something? Can't you hear me, mister? He watched his son's tantrum from the doorway, then rushed forward and snatched the documents back. How dare you? You have no idea what you're talking about. With so many rooms in this house, why must you have this one? Your brother has been working himself to the bone lately. Can't you just behave for once? The word struck a raw nerve in Yi Qingqing. His eyes turned bloodshot as he snarled, bullshit. When have I ever had a brother? He's just a bastard. I am the only legitimate son of the He family. Seeing me at the doorway, he lashed out again. Why is this bitch still here? I said, only Yi Qingqing is my wife. She has no right to be in this villa, Mrs. He, trying to defuse the tension, held up the box in her hands. Moo, he prepared this especially for you. He Shuxing snatched the gift box and hurled it straight into the pond below. That's my answer to her. Seeing the He family parents barely containing their rage, I knew my goal was accomplished and began my retreat. As I went downstairs, I realized Yi Qingqing was following me, so I turned and headed to the back garden to retrieve the gift. The moment I bent down, I heard a whoosh of air behind me. I dropped into a crouch, dodging the attack, and looked up just in time to see Yi Qingqing tumble into the pond. You bitch. You did that on purpose. I shrugged. What else? You think you can just push me over the edge? Don't get cocky. Just wait a little longer, and the He family will still be Shuxing's. When that time comes, I'll be the esteemed Mrs. He, and I won't let any of you off the hook. I scoffed coldly. If your brain's clogged, go flush it down the toilet. Don't you know? The He parents have already transferred half of their shares to Yi Shuchen. They were going to announce him as the successor to the chairman position at his 18th birthday banquet. Your little appearance just delayed the inevitable. My malicious smile was reflected in Yi Qingqing's stunned eyes. I have to admire your audacity for daring to come back now. As long as the He family's parents are alive, your vulgarity, your lack of decorum, and your crassness will forever be etched in their minds. Still don't get it? The grand inheritance drama you've been dreaming of has already gone bankrupt. A flash of resentment and ruthlessness passed through Yi Qingqing's eyes. That evening, He Shuchen sent me a surveillance video. It showed Yi Qingqing and He Shuxing, both in disguise, going out to buy 2 barrels of diesel. Then, seizing the moment when they returned to the garage, they secretly stashed them in the basement. After all, He Shuxing is their biological son. For the He parents to willingly give up on him, they'd naturally need a convincing reason. Murdering one's own parents is as good a reason as any. He Shuchen was curious why I was so certain they would actually go through with it. I scoffed. All those years they spent drifting, they probably fantasized daily about their grand return, living in luxury and taking over the He group in a blaze of glory. But the reality is, their presence is unwelcome in the He family. Even what was rightfully theirs has been snatched away clean by you, the illegitimate son. I told Yi Qingqing this afternoon that you'll be taking over as chairman of the board very soon. He Shuchen clicked his tongue in disapproval. Have they been reading too many novels? Do they think a change in the chairmanship is that simple? I burst out laughing. Exactly. The routines and unwritten rules we take for granted are like a foreign language to them. But it doesn't matter. Who cares if it's a black cat or a white cat, as long as it catches mice? Just before hanging up, I paused for a few rare seconds. Be careful when they light the fire. The voice on the other end was a bit hoarse. What? Worried about me? You talk too much. I'm hanging up. 8. A week later, the He family took the initiative to invite me and my parents to their home. We were terribly rude last time, since we might become in-laws in the future. We've come today specifically to apologize, Mr. He raised his glass of red wine as he delivered this opening remark. Meanwhile, He Shushing kept tapping his glass with his chopsticks. He kept tapping while giving me a sidelong glance. What's with that look, Miss Sue? My apologies. I'm just a country bumpkin. I don't really know the proper etiquette, so you'll have to bear with me. After saying that, he let out a contemptuous snort at Mr. He, whose face had darkened. There's no way I'm marrying this bitch. The only mistress of this house will ever be Ching Ching. Haven't you said enough? Ever since you came back, I've been utterly disappointed in you. With a sharp crack, He Shushing shot to his feet. How the hell is this my fault? Don't you forget, I'm your real son. He's just a bastard, a stain on this family's name. He then turned his venom on Mrs. He, and don't think for a second that just because you raised him for a few years, he sees you as his mother. The son of a homewrecker will always be a homewrecker. When you're dead, he'll probably move his whore mother's grave next to Dad's. Him standing here is living proof of Dad's affair. A slap in your face. Yi Ching seized the moment to chime in. That's right, Mom. Shushing is very clever. A mother should always stand by her own son. With another sharp crack, Mrs. He stood up and, in a fit of rage, slapped Yi Ching across the face. Enough. Who do you think you are? I let you sit at the table today, and you actually think you belong here. I won't allow it. He Shushing scoffed, and without waiting for the other to finish speaking, he flipped the entire plate upside down on the table. Finally, he cast a sinister glance at everyone at the table before leaving the dining area with Yi Ching. I gave you a chance. You brought this on yourselves. Everyone was completely baffled. Except for He Shuchin and me. At 2 in the morning. The villa's alarm system blared, and within just 2 minutes, several rooms were engulfed in flames. Yi Ching stood on the open-air balcony of the adjacent rooftop, nestled in He Shushing's arms. He Shushing's tone was laced with vengeful satisfaction. Those two old fools actually humiliated me for the sake of that bastard. You were right. If we'd waited any longer, that bastard would have gotten everything. Once I'm the only one left in the He family, you can rightfully be my woman. Yi Ching nestled in his arms, about to act coquettishly, when she suddenly spotted the figures behind them. Her finger trembled as she pointed. Ghosts. They should all be asleep in their rooms. How can they be here? 9. He Shushing sensed something was wrong and turned around. The entire He family, who should have been sound asleep in their rooms, was standing right behind him. His eyes widened in shock. How are you all still alive? I shook my head from the side. So your grand ambition was just to come back and go to prison. The He parents looked at him with utter disappointment. We thought you just needed time to adjust. We never imagined you'd go this far. You drove me to this. He Shushing's eyes were wide with fury, his expression shattered. Do you have any idea what my life has been like out there? You feast on delicacies while I could barely get a decent meal, and when I came back, you still wouldn't give up. You insist on He Shuchin inheriting the company, acting as if I don't even exist, trying to snatch everything away from me. In your dreams, what are you talking about? Even if the company isn't passed down to you, we would never treat you unfairly. Humph, that's just empty talk. Seeing the flashing lights of the police car in the distance, He Shushing grew even more agitated. You called the police, so you really are targeting me on purpose. With that, he tried to take Yi Ching and climb down from the side of the high wall, but just as I swung over, the rope I had tampered with snapped clean through, leaving me dangling from the wall by one hand. Gasping frantically, he screamed for Yi Ching to save him, but at the sight of the approaching police cars, she didn't even look back as she fled. Save me, please, save me. He Shushing's agonized screams went on, until finally, silhouetted against the firelight and before the eyes of everyone, he plummeted down. Aaway. His legs hit the ground. The impact from the 4-story fall drove the bones right through his knees, leaving them exposed. A wretched scream pierced the air, echoing throughout the villa district. Yi Ching paid him no mind. She shouted for her prearranged accomplice to get in the car, ready to make a run for it. But when she saw me chasing after her, her face twisted with malice. Driven by a mad jealousy, she yelled for the car to stop, then leveled a modified pistol straight at me. Sumio, this is all your fault. If it weren't for you, I would still be the esteemed young mistress of the Su family. She then signaled for the people behind her to take me away. If I can't have it, I'd rather destroy it than let you have it. Everyone, back off, or I'll shoot her right now. 10. I was taken right in front of everyone. He Shuchin's perpetually cold expression shattered the moment he saw me being abducted. The vehicle sped off and soon turned onto a mountain path. After switching cars, we veered deep into the hills. Clusters of derelict factories loomed in piles. I was dragged out roughly and thrown to the ground. I heard someone in the gang asking what we should do next. Yi Qingqing spat in disgust. How the hell should I know? That useless idiot's been caught. What else can I do now? Leaning against the iron door, I said sarcastically, didn't you claim you saved his life, that you loved him and wanted to be with him? You're turning on him awfully fast. I actually thought you were the one who saved him. Turns out you're in cahoots with the traffickers all along. Yi Qingqing clenched her jaw, leaning against the door with a dark expression. TCH, you're so naive. Do you really believe a man will still respect you after he's made it big? They'll just use you. Saying everything you have came from me, and it's only right that I take it back. What do we do with this woman? A man with one good eye squatted to the side, looking at me with a sinister gaze. What's there to worry about? A woman is easy to get rid of. Plenty of lonely old bachelors with no wives are willing to pay good money for one with such soft, delicate skin. Granny Wang will be here to pick up the goods any minute now. The other lanky man rubbed his hands together. We can have a little fun before we go. Then, Yi Qingqing waved a dismissive hand. Just don't kill her. The two men closed in on me. I pulled out the razor blade I'd hidden earlier. Just as a grimy hand reached for my ankle, I lunged forward and struck. The man yelped in pain, grabbed my hair in retaliation, and snarled, "You little bitch, how dare you fight back?" With my index and middle fingers pressed together, I first slashed the lanky man's arm. In the split second he recoiled in pain. I drove my fingers straight into the good eye of the blind man. He let go in agony and writhed on the ground. I seized the moment, snatching the pistol from his waist. A smirk curled at the corner of my mouth as the lanky man watched in terror. Trembling, he begged for mercy. "That gun's been modified. It'll blow up in your face if you don't know how to use it. Let me go, and I'll let you go." With a sharp click, I disengaged the safety and fired a shot straight at his groin. Yi Qingqing, who had only just registered the sound and reacted, rushed over as well. "I told you to be careful. No killing." The still hot barrel of the gun pressed against her head. 11. Yi Qingqing's pupils dilated. "Impossible." I gave a light chuckle. "You don't actually think I came along so quietly because you're all that impressive, do you? You won't dare pull the trigger. You can't handle the weight of multiple lives." I shrugged. "This gun is yours. I'm just a helpless girl who was brought here against her will. How could any of this possibly be my doing? You planned all of this. Why are you targeting me?" My gaze was unwavering. "Why don't you ask the you from your past life that question?" Yi Qingqing finally realized I had been reborn and turned to flee. I took aim at her steps, firing shot after shot at her legs and arms. Driven by agony and the instinct to survive, she tumbled into a mountain crevice, collapsing inside with a face full of bitter resentment. "I'm rather curious. He Shuxing already helped you steal my position in our past life. How could you still mistreat him in this one? What do you know?" Clutching her wound, Yi Qingqing's voice was hoarse with emotional collapse. "After you died, he did choose to marry me, but only to legitimize his claim to the marital assets. We were barely married 6 months before his constant affairs started. He mocked me, saying I was just a stray dog he picked up, good for nothing but to be slaughtered for meat once I outlived my usefulness." Then she let out a chilling laugh. "So I stabbed him to death, and I got a chance to start over." Her expression contorted once more. "But it's all because of you. If it weren't for you, I should have had everything. You stood in my way. You deserve to die. You deserve to die." As we spoke, the sound of an engine echoed through the mountains again, and a beat-up old van came to a stop. The man who arrived had a cigarette in his mouth. The moment he saw my gun, he tried to run, but I cut him off. "I don't know anything, I swear. I was just picking up the goods for someone." I glanced back at her, keeping an eye on her movements in my peripheral vision. "Looks like human trafficking isn't your first rodeo. You're a woman yourself, yet you're profiting off the suffering of your own kind. So what? These idiots are easy enough to trick anyway. Better to turn them into cash for me to spend than to marry off to some stinking men." Seeing Yi Qingqing's unrepentant attitude, I signaled for the other party to take her away. But she's..." The gun was aimed at the man again. "Since when did human traffickers get so picky? I thought you already had a buyer lined up, even if you let her go. If the cops catch her, she'll rat you all out. Or would you rather stay here and keep her company?" The man shuddered, dragged the half-dead Yi Qingqing into the car, and sped off in a cloud of dust. After resting on the mountain for a while, I finally saw He Shuchen arriving, fashionably late. The veins in his wrist bulged as he gripped my collar tightly. "If you want to die, there are easier ways. Who gave you permission to act on your own?" I tilted my head. "Wouldn't it be better if I died? That way, the secret between you and me would be buried forever." He pulled me roughly into his embrace, and I heard a deafening sound. "Weren't you the one who said we were in this together?" How dare you try to back out first? A hot tear fell by my ear. I closed my eyes and finally loosened my grip on the gun I had been clutching so desperately. I'm a terrible person, his muffled voice sounded. I know, it's this untamed, calculating Sumiu that I like. 12. I've always carried a 24-hour GPS tracker on me. Based on my statement, the police tracked down the other 2 members of Yi Qingqing's crew who were trying to flee. They wailed and howled, accusing me of the brutal treatment I'd given them. But the officer just frowned and pointed at me. You're telling me this delicate young girl shot at you? You've got to be kidding. She's injured herself. This is clearly the result of you lot fighting amongst yourselves over the spoils. 2 grown men were in the prison cell, weeping and wailing as if their hearts would break, loudly protesting their innocence. But I just stood up and closed the door, shutting out their agonized cries. Outside, 2 police officers saluted me. We truly can't thank you enough for your help this time. If you hadn't thought so quickly on your feet, we would never have cracked Granny Wang's human trafficking ring. I gave a faint smile. I only did what I had to do. When Yi Qingqing was dragged into the car, I slipped a tracker onto her. Just as I suspected, to silence her for good, they sold her straight into the remote mountains. By the time the police found her, her mind was gone. She was locked in a sheep pen, eating dirt with her bare hands. Granny Wang's operation was wiped out. A total of 38 trafficked girls were found and rescued. Afterwards, many of the rescued families knelt outside my family's company, thanking me for saving their lives. The suit group also went viral online, with enthusiastic netizens buying out all the products in their online store within a single day. Countless media outlets requested interviews, but I turned them all down, explaining that I was still a student. Netizens then dug up the fact that I had already secured a spot at the nation's top university through a gold medal in the Olympiad. My personal social media account exploded in popularity overnight, with followers skyrocketing past 20 million. After giving my statement, I walked out of the police station. He Shuchen was waiting for me outside. Just going to prison seems a bit too lenient for them. I nodded. I pulled some strings. They're guaranteed to get some special attention. You had someone teach them a lesson. I shook a finger. They were so fond of trafficking women, weren't they? Well, I'm going to make sure they get a real taste of the despair those girls felt. To put it bluntly, they've signed up for a lifetime membership with the proctology department. 13. He Shuxing had been hospitalized for a broken leg, but when his parents came to visit, he greeted them with verbal abuse. On one particularly severe occasion, he even threw a fruit knife at them. He was eventually diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder and committed to a mental institution. When He Shuxing saw me and He Shuchen appear, he was beside himself with rage. How dare you show your faces here? Drop dead. Both of you, you bitch, you stole everything from me and still have the nerve to show up here. I looked at him coldly. That kidnapping back then, wasn't it just the consequences of your own actions? He Shuxing was taken aback. So you knew all along. I pulled the documents from my bag and tossed them over. That's right. So I went to some trouble to prepare a special gift for you. The documents were Yi Qingqing's hospital transfer application. The moment Yi Qingqing entered, she grabbed his leg and started hitting him with it. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Aya, this crazy woman, get her out of here. Now, how could you just throw it away? After all, this is going to be your future roommate. He Shuxing cried out to the heavens. But they did not answer. He cried out to the earth, but it offered no relief. All he could do was huddle in a wretched ball, clutching his head in the corner of the bed. If you treat me like this, my parents will make you pay for it. He Shuchen finally spoke up. Do you really think we could have gotten you here so smoothly without their tacit approval? He Shuxing finally noticed the family crest on his hand. How could they let you replace me? I'm their son. I should be the sole heir to the He group. Sumiu, do you really think choosing He Shuchen means he'll treat you well? Don't forget, he's a man too. My father cheated, I cheated, and he'll cheat too. He Shuchen said. That's none of your concern. I signed the documents long ago. I've transferred all my shares to her. He struggled to snatch the ring, only to be shoved off the bed by Yi Qingqing. We made our exit to the sound of his desperate cries. 14. The next time we heard news of He Shuxing was the day he died. In the hospital room, He Shuxing was pushed out of a third-floor window by Yi Qingqing during one of her episodes, resulting in a high-level spinal cord injury and quadriplegia. For all these years, he had been kept alive by an oxygen tube and a feeding tube. It was a mirror image of what happened to me back then. Over the years, through my collaboration with He Shuchen, we secured several major projects. Just the day before yesterday, the He family officially passed the reins to He Shuchen. Seizing a moment when the nurse wasn't looking, He Shuxing mustered all his remaining strength, pulled out his oxygen tube, and suffocated himself to death, according to the caregiver. After his death, Yi Qingqing was still there clapping and cheering. She witnessed He Shuxing's death with her own eyes. I instructed my assistant to remember to have the body cremated and the ashes scattered at sea. Someone like that isn't worth spending another penny on. Let the fish get some extra calcium. He Shuchen hugged me from behind, his hands clasped together, the diamond rings making a faint clinking sound. Now that the nuisance is gone, shall we move on to the next step? He cupped the back of my head with one hand, his cool lips meeting mine. I'm the de facto head of the He family now. I don't want to wait any longer. I hooked his tie as I used to, gave a sly smile, and leaned in again. Permission granted, let's get married. Story 2, Ningxu's beloved died because of me, and he hated me for it for 10 years. Even when I succumbed to illness, he never forgave me. Reborn on that fateful day, I resolved to let them be together by dying in his beloved's stead. Fortunately, I survived the attempt and seized the chance to fake my death. I started a new life, leaving Ningxu completely behind me. 2 years later, Ningxu accidentally came across my photo and realized I was still alive. They say he lost his mind on the spot. 1. After 10 years of marriage, Ningxu finally found a substitute for his unattainable love. She was a college girl. Her mere resemblance to Shen Lanshan drove Ningxu wild with devotion, spoiling her rotten. Coming from poverty, Ningxu sponsored her education. When she needed an internship, Ningxu made her his personal assistant. They became inseparable. Ningxu once promised we'd take a seaside stroll on my 35th birthday. It's been over a decade since we last visited the shore together. Ever since Shen Lanshan was lost to the sea, on the birthday, I applied lipstick to mask my sickly pale lips, then draped my emaciated frame in elegant clothes. I waited by the shore all day, not a single call from Ningxu. Only when night fell did his secretary relay that urgent business kept him away. Relying on memory, I found that college girl's Weibo post. She posted a photo with a hand barely visible in the corner, that was unmistakably Ningxu. The moment he heard I had period cramps, he dropped everything and rushed over, even made me kanji himself. Older men really know how to pamper you. Adorable. The tumor in my brain is pressing on the nerves. The pain so severe I can't straighten my back. Liberation is near. I smiled soundlessly at the sea. Shen Lanshan, I'll soon repay you with my life. 2. Ningxu didn't come home until the early hours. He glanced at me on the couch and said flatly, still up, Ningxu, we need to talk. I know what you're going to say. He leisurely loosened his tie. Even at 35, Ningxu maintained a well-toned physique, his every movement exuding the poise of a mature man. No wonder he could attract 20-year-old college girls. I was indeed with my assistant tonight. She wasn't feeling well and had no one around. I thought it'd be tough for a young woman alone, so I went to check on her. We'll go to the beach another day. Not about that. He seemed surprised. Then what is it? I was trying to figure out how to bring it up. Ningxu took another guess. The birthday gift. I had my assistant deliver it to you. That's not it either. Ningxu's patience ran out. He Yuning, I'm exhausted today. If you've got something to say, spit it out instead of wasting time with riddles. I have terminal brain cancer. I slid the diagnosis report across to him. I'd rehearsed 100 ways to start this conversation, but none of them mattered in the end. Ningxu kept flipping through the report in disbelief. The room was eerily silent. Is this real? A top-tier hospital falsifying reports. For the first time, Ningxu showed me a flicker of emotion beyond impatience, but it was gone in an instant. He quickly composed himself, setting the report aside. It's getting late, you should rest. Is that all you have to say, when disappointment piles up? It turns into collapse. Ningxu, I'm dying. This might be my last birthday alive. He stopped in his tracks, letting me pelt him with pillows and cups, neither resisting nor dodging. Only when I'd calmed down did he wipe the water from his face, revealing a cruel smile. He Yuning, tell me, isn't this karma? I froze on the spot. Then came the second half of his sentence. This is your karma for indirectly causing Shen Lanshan's death. 3. Ningxu threw those words at me before retreating to his bedroom. The door slammed shut, cutting off my last glimmer of hope. But I knew Ningxu was right. Shen Lanshan's death was connected to me. Before turning 22, the three of us, Ningxu, Shen Lanshan, and I, were inseparable. The very definition of an ironclad trio. If I had to say, I was always the odd one out. Both the Shen and Ning families were extremely wealthy. They received elite education since childhood and shared many common interests. Only because Shen Lanshan considered me her best friend did I have a place in their circle. Later, just like every cliché love triangle story would go, I fell for Ning Shu, but his eyes only ever followed Shen Lanshan. My secret crush meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. For Miss Shen's 22nd birthday, I suggested celebrating at sea. Coincidentally, she owned a private yacht that had never been used. Shen Lanshan found the proposal quite appealing, so she cancelled the upscale club reservation last minute and moved the birthday celebration to a maritime venue. The festivities stretched across several days. At first, everything went smoothly, but on the third day, disaster struck. The yacht suddenly malfunctioned, causing seawater to flood in, and is expected to sink within 20 minutes. There are 17 people on board with only 2 lifeboats, which have a maximum capacity of 16. One person will inevitably have to stay behind and await rescue. To ensure fairness, Shen Lanshan proposed drawing lots to decide who would remain. Unfortunately, I drew the short straw. After everyone boarded the lifeboat, Shen Lanshan suddenly snatched the lot from my hand. Ning Ning, you go first. No, I'm the one who drew the lot, you dummy. Shen Lanshan flashed me a smile. No wonder she was the campus belle. That radiant grin. I can swim, you can't. You go first. I'll last longer than you. No, if you're staying, I'm staying too. Don't make this harder for me. Who knows, I might reach shore right after you. Without another word, Shen Lanshan pushed me onto the lifeboat. She turned to Ning Shu and said, "Take good care of her." Those were Shen Lanshan's final words to us. 4. No sooner had our lifeboat departed than the storm hit. The extreme weather delayed the rescue team, and by the time they arrived, the private yacht had completely sunk. Shen Lanshan couldn't be saved. Rescuers found her body in the wreckage of the sunken ship. Ning Shu had planned to confess his feelings to Shen Lanshan after returning to shore. He'd even prepared gifts and flowers, but his beloved white moonlight remains forever in the sea. From that moment on, Ning Shu began to despise me. If only I hadn't persuaded Shen Lanshan to set sail. She wouldn't have died. If not, it would have been me who perished. Later, Ning Shu read my diary and discovered my secret crush on him. He sneered mockingly, "You like me, as if you're worthy." Yet despite his words, a week later Ning Shu suddenly proposed with a diamond ring in an outrageously grand gesture. The photos went viral online, everyone saying they've never seen a diamond this enormous. And how adorable the prince and Cinderella's childhood sweetheart romance is. But little do they know. In reality, the prince's gaze never lingered on Cinderella. Ning Shu married me solely because of Shen Lanshan's dying wish. He truly took good care of me, except, he never loved me. Ning Shu never once strayed, as if to put Shen Lanshan's departed soul at ease. He struggled to maintain our marriage for a full decade, until this replacement appeared, rekindling the dying embers in Ning Shu's heart. My condition grew progressively worse. Ning Shu never once visited me in the hospital. He was too busy with his career, busy entertaining his young assistant. The hospital room TV was broadcasting a charity gala live. There was Ning Shu in formal attire, with that assistant Xiaoqiu trailing behind him. With her delicate makeup, Xiaoqiu looked even more like Shen Lanshan. My gaze froze when I spotted the necklace around her neck. That was Shen Lanshan's necklace, that year when I was 20. All because I'd casually remarked, "This necklace is beautiful." Shen Lanshan simply took it off and gave it to me. Only later did I learn her brother had bought it at auction for millions. Shen Lanshan said, "What's a few million? Ning Ning is my best friend, she's worth it." After her death, I sealed the necklace in a jewelry box, unable to bear opening it. What gives Ning Shu the right to force this on someone else? With my last ounce of strength, I made the call. "What is it?" came the icy voice. "I'm busy today, call back later, no one can replace her." I cut Ning Shu off harshly. No matter what he was busy with, I mustered all my strength and spoke each word deliberately. "No one can replace Shen Lanshan. Ning Shu, you're insulting her." Ning Shu stood frozen for a long moment. I was utterly exhausted. After hanging up, I closed my eyes for the last time. The day I died, a storm raged outside, so similar to the day Shen Lanshan met her fate. 5. Ning Ning, do you have feelings for Ashu? The familiar sweet voice snapped me back to awareness. I was reborn. 22-year-old Shen Lanshan sat before me with a radiant smile. "Don't even try to deny it. What are we to each other? You can't hide it from me." Seeing me frozen in place, she added, "Got it right. Don't worry. I'll make sure you two have some alone time tonight. Make it count." Overcome with emotion, I rushed forward and pulled Shen Lanshan into a tight embrace. The familiar scent of jasmine clung to her. "It's really her, in the flesh." "Ning Ning, what's wrong? Who's bullying you? Tell me, I'll teach them a lesson." "No, The words trailed off unfinished. The alarm suddenly blared. "Yacht malfunction. All personnel report to the deck immediately, now." "Oh no, this can't be happening." I just got reincarnated. 6. Everyone gathered uneasily at the bow. The yacht was tilting, its stern beginning to sink. To make matters worse, the weather was turning foul, just like in their past lives. They drew lots to decide who would wait for rescue. I took a deep breath and snatched the short straw first. It's me, the rest of you don't need to draw. Everyone except Shenlanshan sighed in relief and scrambled onto the lifeboat. Just then, I noticed something odd about Ning Shu. In his past life, he was the commander, organizing everyone's orderly boarding of the lifeboat, but now, he stood there dazed, eyes vacant, only squeezing onto the lifeboat when shoved by others, as if his soul had left him. Whatever, who cares about him? I clenched the short slip in my palm and counted down 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Shenlanshan lunged at me to snatch my slip. Just as I expected, my prediction was spot on. I dodged her effortlessly. What are you doing? I feigned surprise, she said. Ning, let's switch. You go first this time. I'll stay and wait for help. I'm a strong swimmer. I can handle this better than you. I shook my head. No, the draw decided it. This is my fate. Don't be ridiculous, remember. I'm a certified swim instructor. You go ahead. I might even reach shore by the time you do. Thank you, Shanshan. In my past life, I never got the chance to say thanks. I'm glad I could make up for it now. What's with the sudden gratitude? Are we best friends? Of course. Then live well. I beg you. Shenlanshan looked utterly bewildered. It was Ning Shu behind her whose pupils abruptly constricted the moment I finished speaking. He suddenly came alive, his gaze locking onto me without blinking. The next instant, I shoved Shenlanshan onto the lifeboat. This time, let me be the one to die. Weightless, I sank toward the stern. Then I heard Ningshu's heart-wrenching scream over the ocean. Ning, how strange. Did he ever call me that in our past life? I turned and met his despairing, shattered gaze. Those weren't the eyes of 22-year-old Ningshu. They belonged to his 35-year-old self. Ningshu had been reborn too. I closed my eyes with quiet resignation. What good is rebirth now? The ending was already written. Ningshu, I owe you nothing more. My body sank deeper into the sea, sinking further still. In the abyssal darkness, a sudden beam of light illuminated my world. 7. Time flashed by in an instant. 2 years have passed since my rebirth. Walking across the UK campus while texting with my head down, Shenlanshan, ding dong, your baby arrives in London tomorrow. Cool, JPG, me, ready to welcome your majesty anytime. Cool, JPG, Shenlanshan, bringing you spicy strips. Me, my lady, you're my goddess. A foreign classmate nearby asked. What's got you so cheerful? I couldn't help but smile. After escaping death itself, how could I not be happy? No one would have guessed I'm still alive. That shipwreck 2 years ago. As my yacht was sinking beneath the waves, a small lifeboat suddenly appeared. It cut through the mist and waves, speeding toward me. What happened next is beyond my knowledge. When I came to, I found myself in a foreign hospital. A familiar face was by my side, strikingly handsome yet with an air of cool detachment in his features. Awake, the doctor says you're out of danger. My mind lagged for a moment before finally placing who this person was. Shendu, that stern, rigid older brother who'd nevertheless spend millions on a necklace for Shenlanshan. Was it you who saved me? Shendu gave a brief explanation. That day when the accident happened, he immediately dispatched a rescue boat after detecting changing weather conditions at sea, just as a precaution. Never thought it would actually save me. I'm grateful, yet somewhat confused. Did this happen in my previous life? Before I could figure it out, Shendu stood up to leave. By the way, I haven't told anyone about saving you yet, not even Shanshan. He paused briefly and looked at me. I suppose you might have your own plans. 8. According to Shendu, everyone thought I was dead. Shenlanshan even locked herself at home, refusing to eat or drink, drowning in tears. Ningshu sent divers to retrieve my body. He spared no expense, refusing to give up until they found the corpse, yet all they recovered was my bracelet, a birthday gift Ningshu gave me during our sophomore year. I've never taken it off since the day I got it. Ningshu knelt on the salvage boat, sobbing with the bracelet clutched in his hands. On my discharge day, I resolved to tell Shenlanshan that I was alive. Upon hearing the news, Shenlanshan flew to England and held me tight, weeping uncontrollably. We made a pact, she'd keep my secret, acting as if Yuning had truly died. Shenlanshan was tight-lipped. 2 years passed, and only my family and the Shen siblings knew of my existence. This narrow escape, I realized, marked my true rebirth. I changed my name and cut off my waist-length hair. Ningshu once said he liked girls with straight black hair, so I never changed my hairstyle again. In this new life, I'll live for myself, as a STEM girl, the UK has my dream university, Imperial College London, ranked 10th globally. I stayed here, working and studying. Shindu wanted to help me, he said. Don't overwork yourself. I'll provide you with housing. Just focus on your master's applications. I shook my head. Thank you, but I want to make it on my own. You've already helped me too much. He let out a soft sigh. Back and forth, Shindu and I developed a bit of camaraderie. Once I asked, why are you willing to help me for free? Because you're Shan's best friend. The reply was absolutely impeccable. In the end, I successfully got admitted to Imperial College London for graduate studies and returned to campus life. After graduating, Shan landed a cushy job at her family's company. She'd frequently jet off to London to visit me. This privileged girl could have easily booked penthouse suites at 5-star hotels, yet she insisted on squeezing into my tiny dorm room every single time. We'd chat, binge shows, and share gossip together, just like old times. To my surprise, she and Ningxu never ended up together. Instead, they drifted further apart. At this, Shan declared firmly, I don't know what issues you have with Ningxu, but I live by one rule. Whoever my best friend hates becomes my sworn enemy. My best friend is never wrong, and even if she is, she's still right. Her words made me laugh. Then Shan added, but hey, Yueshin, I think you got it all wrong. Ningxu doesn't like me at all. He's into you. No way. But he's become so obsessed because of you, Shan muttered under her breath. Ever since your accident, he keeps saying things I don't understand, like I was wrong. Please come back. I'll never see that assistant again and such. Another time, I caught him kneeling before your portrait, murmuring to himself and weeping bitterly, honoring my wishes, my family, and Shan held a funeral for me. I gave an awkward smile and changed the subject. How long are you planning to stay this time? Just long enough to celebrate your birthday. I'll leave in 2 weeks. We huddled under the covers, chatting about variety shows and celebrity crushes. Neither of us remembered who dozed off first. The next morning, I was jolted awake by Shan's scream, Ningning, I'm so sorry. Ningning has always been my nickname, it just rolls off the tongue. So I never asked anyone to change how they address me. What's wrong? I asked. Ningxu. Ningxu saw our photo together. 9. Yesterday, Shan posted food photos in our class group chat. She accidentally uploaded a picture of us together instead. She quickly retracted it after realizing, thinking no one had seen, but unexpectedly, some busybody swiftly saved the image and forwarded it to Ningxu. Ningxu immediately went berserk, bombarding Shan with endless calls. Shan slept like a log, completely oblivious to the ringing. When she woke up, her WeChat was flooded with hundreds of messages from Ningxu. The last one said he was already on his way to the UK. What do we do now? Shan asked, on the verge of tears. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Got it. You're saying I should hire some muscle to beat him back. Why don't you just hire a hitman? Works for me. Miss, I was just kidding. No output as the provided text is empty or contains only a non-printing character. Jokes aside, Ningxu actually showed up. The group photo was taken near campus. The distinctive buildings made it obvious to Ningxu this was Imperial College. I was pretty confident at first, with such a huge campus. How could he possibly find me? But I forgot, you shouldn't jinx things by speaking too soon. That Thursday, I was rushing to the lab with a stack of documents in my arms. Turning a corner, I collided head-on with someone. Sorry, a familiar voice rang out. There was no time to run. I looked up and saw Ningxu right there. 2 whole years had passed, and Ningxu's appearance had changed noticeably. He seemed more composed than before, yet burdened with unspoken thoughts. At this moment, I'm profoundly grateful I'd bundled up completely, not just wearing a hat, but even wrapping my scarf over everything below my eyes. Papers scattered everywhere as I silently gathered them with bowed head. Ningxu stared blankly into my eyes. Did he find something out? I hastily packed my things and bolted out of there. Thought I'd dodged a bullet. The next day, there was a theory class. The WeChat group created by Chinese classmates was buzzing with activity. Who's that guy in the back row? Never seen him before. No idea. Probably just auditing the class. Who'd want to sit in on our boring major anyway? Looking kind of fine. I turned back curiously for a glance. Wait, Ningxu. Seems like he spotted me too. Our eyes met for a split second before I quickly turned away. I prayed silently that they wouldn't get a clear look at my face, yet throughout the entire class, that burning gaze never left my back. When class ended, I was the first one out the door. I thought I could finally escape Ningxu's pursuit this way, never expected him to be quicker than me. at the foot of the teaching building. He called out to me, "Hey classmate, did you forget your student ID?" I paused mid-step, rummaged through my pocket. Sure enough, it was there. Must have dropped my student ID when we bumped into each other yesterday. Didn't even notice he'd picked it up. His leather shoes tapped lightly against the marble floor, soft yet unnervingly distinct. "The photo on this looks really nice," he said. "Don't you agree, classmate?" He yawning. 11. There's no point in running away now. Ningshu had already figured out it was me. That's how he knew exactly which classroom to find. I turned around and snatched the student ID from his hand. "Let me correct you, my name is Hiyueshin, joy within, joy without. I love myself." "What about Hiyuning?" "He's gone." He stared at me in silence. The British weather was being temperamental again, with a fine drizzle now falling. Ningshu's eyes mirrored the weather, hazy and unfathomable. "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" he whispered. Did you abandon even the name Yuning just to avoid seeing me?" "Yes, I did." Ningshu's eyes gradually reddened. "Why? Do I need a better reason than I hate you?" "Fair enough, I was a jerk. I hate myself too, but Ning, no matter how much you despise me, don't avoid me, please." I gave him a weird look. "Are you insane? What's with this sudden dramatic confession? Say whatever you want, as long as it makes you happy." Ningshu stepped forward, grabbing my hand and pressing it against his chest. Ning, by the time I realized how deeply I loved you, it was already too late. Heaven punished me, making me endure your death twice. The agony tore me apart, until today. Before he could finish, I yanked my hand away and slapped him across the face. "Wake up, I stopped loving you ages ago." 12. My blow sent Ningshu's head snapping sideways, leaving him dazed for a long moment. I hadn't held back my strength. A red mark gradually bloomed across his cheek. Young Master Ning had lived in pampered luxury, never once been struck before. He touched his face and smiled. To his surprise, it was a contented smile. Let's just say Ning was willing to touch me. Shenlanshan was right. He'd completely lost his mind. Feel better now? If not, how about slapping this side of my face too? He even proactively offered his other cheek. I recoiled in disgust. Don't make me sick. Disgusting. Ningshu froze. You think I'm disgusting? Absolutely revolting. Could you bear with me and let me finish? No. I don't want to hear it. Just then, my savior arrived. Spotting the Maybach approaching through the rain, I sighed in relief. Gotta go, my boyfriend's here to pick me up. Boyfriend? Ningshu froze instantly, following my gaze. A man stepped out of the car and opened a black umbrella. I skipped happily under his sheltering canopy, not sparing Ningshu another glance. Ningshu's face darkened. This was someone he recognized. It's Shindu, 13. The Shin family has business interests in the UK. So Shindu has been spending most of his time in London these years. Before class ended, I sensed things were about to get messy, so I texted Shindu in advance to bail me out. Shindu arrived just in time. Thanks for earlier. Don't mention it. Is Shanshan bothering you with your studies? Not at all. She mentioned going to France today. Shindu gave me a ride to the supermarket to pick up some groceries before heading back to the dorm. The dorm hallway was empty. I'll head in first, I said. Waving at Shindu, he suddenly pulled me into his arms and kissed me passionately. The motion sensor light went out. In the darkness, I responded to him cautiously. After what felt like an eternity, his kiss nearly suffocating me, Shindu finally loosened his grip. When should we tell Shanshan about us? I whispered. Just wait a little longer. He pouted. Am I really that embarrassing to show off? It's not that. The words melted into our next lingering kiss. Shindu and I have only been together for half a month. Even now, it still feels surreal when I think about it. That day, he calmly asked if I'd like to try dating him. Mesmerized by his striking features, I found myself nodding without thinking. After calming down, I started having second thoughts. Shindu is after all my best friend's own brother. Wouldn't this be kind of inappropriate? Sensing my hesitation, Shindu immediately asked, do you still have feelings for Ningshu? Of course not. Then give me a chance. I'm great, not inferior to anyone. You've got nothing to lose by trying. He made a compelling point. I'm not going to stay single forever just because of one lousy guy. Shindu is genuinely wonderful, thoughtful and caring, but something still feels off when we're together. I keep things polite with him, and he does the same. Only in the darkness like this do we dare to hold each other. Shindu's passionate kiss was interrupted as a plastic bag fell to the ground with a dull thud. Is Ningning back yet? Shenlanshan's voice suddenly rang out. She happily ran to the door, pulled the door open. 14. Alarm bells rang in my head as I swiftly pushed Shindu away. Caught off guard, Shindu was shoved against the wall with a muffled grunt. That must have hurt. I gave him an apologetic look. Brother, what are you doing here? Shenlanshan asked in surprise. We ran into each other. And your brother gave me a ride to the supermarket. I changed the subject. What about you? Weren't you supposed to go to France today? Don't even ask. With all the strikes in France, I had to cancel my flight, Shendu said. You two chat. I've got work to do heading out first. After closing the door, Shenlanshan looked me over. Ningning, what happened to your lips? They're so red. I fidget guiltily. Had some spicy food on the way here. Serves you right for sneaking snacks without me. Your Highness speaks wisely. By the way, I've noticed my brother acting strange lately. What's wrong? I think he's in a relationship. My hand trembled, spilling the water I was pouring. Any evidence for that? Totally. Look, he used to post on social media like once every 6 months. But now he's flooding his feed with random stuff, snapping stray dogs, wildflowers, even writing cheesy captions like "The moon looks beautiful tonight," classic signs of someone crushing hard. Detective Shenlanshan swiped through her phone as she walked me through the analysis. She didn't notice that Shendu had sent me a message. Shendu, it hurts me from the bump just now. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I was too nervous. Shendu, puppy dog eyes, JPG, normally restrained and rigid. Shendu's occasional cute antics like this create a striking contrast. Shendu, wanting compensation, fidgeting fingers. Me, got it. I'll make it up to you next time. Ningning. Shenlanshan paused and looked at me quizzically. Who are you texting? You've been grinning at your screen this whole time. Oh, just came across an adorable puppy video. I desperately changed the subject, even at the cost of revealing something personal. I ran into Ningshu today. She completely forgot about Shendu, just as expected. So, did he see you? I gave her a rough rundown, leaving out the part about Shendu. Shenlanshan clicked her tongue. He's completely unhinged these days. Don't hit him yourself next time. I'm afraid he might actually enjoy it. Shenlanshan was absolutely right. Ningshu has completely lost his mind now. That very night, just as we were about to sleep, the dorm group chat exploded. There's a guy kneeling outside building C, whose desperate simp got left behind. 15. Someone took a photo and shared it in the group chat. The moment I saw Ningshu, I nearly passed out. It had been raining nonstop outside. He knelt in the downpour, looking haggard and pitiful. Dormitory access requires a keycard. Since he couldn't get in, he had no choice but to kneel there waiting for me to come down. Honestly, I wouldn't even spare Ningshu a glance if he dropped dead on the sidewalk. But the international student community is tight-knit. If I don't put a stop to this, the gossip will spread from London to Scotland by tomorrow. I just want to focus on my studies, not become the main character in campus drama. I stormed downstairs, seething with rage. Ningshu, how far are you willing to take this? Ningshu's eyes lit up. Ningning, you finally came to see me. I sneered. Missed me that much? Humph. In my past life when I was dying, why didn't you come to see me? His smile instantly collapsed. I'm sorry, so sorry. Ningning, I know I was wrong, believe it or not. I'd actually fallen for you long before in that lifetime. I just couldn't face it. That's why I treated you so coldly. Disgusting. Just shut up. Ningshu stopped me with obsessive persistence and continued. Because I'm consumed by guilt, I owe Shenlanshan this debt. Hearing Shenlanshan's name, I froze mid-step. Ningning, Shenlanshan made me promise to take care of you before she died. That's the only reason I married you. But after a few years of marriage, I realized I'd developed feelings for you. No output as the provided text is empty or contains only a non-printing character. Ningshu's voice was hoarse, flickering like an aging light bulb. In that moment, I was terrified. I felt I'd betrayed Shenlanshan. I deliberately distanced myself, brainwashed myself into numbness. Later, when I met Xiaqiu who resembled her, I showered the girl with affection just to prove my undying love for Shenlanshan. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Hilarious. If you love me so much, why didn't you stay on the yacht for me? I reincarnated slightly later than you. The first thing I saw was you pushing Shenlanshan toward me. He was filled with remorse. If only I'd acted sooner, I would never have let you stay. No output as the provided text is empty or contains only a non-printing character. I pressed further. What about when I had brain cancer? He fell silent, after a long pause. He finally muttered guiltily, I'm sorry, I actually thought you were lying about the brain cancer. When Ningshu saw I remained unmoved, he dropped to his knees with a thud. Ning, please give me another chance. I'll make it up to you. I promise. I shook my head impatiently. Ningshu, we can only be strangers now. I won't love you anymore, nor will I hate you, because hatred is still a powerful emotion, and you don't deserve even that. Ningshu's breath hitched. He was about to beg when sudden noises came from the stairwell. I pulled open the fire door to find Shinlanshan standing there. She must have been hiding here to protect me, probably afraid of what Ningshu might do, but now she stood pale-faced. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. 16. After I said it was fine, Shinlanshan forced a smile. Can I ask a few questions? Go ahead. Was everything you just said true? It's true. In my past life, was I the one who died? Did I ask him to take care of you? Then you died of brain cancer. But before that, he was with my replacement. Shinlanshan was trembling from head to toe. The next second, she lunged forward and slapped Ningshu hard across the face. How fucking dare you treat Ningning like that? The slap wasn't enough. She grabbed Ningshu by the collar, nearly hysterical, every word dripping with venom. How dare you treat her like that? Answer me. Using my name to hurt her. What gives you the right? What fucking right do you have? With that pathetic excuse you call love. This is ridiculous. Ningshu, to me, you're not even worth one of my best friend's fingernails. Ningshu offered no resistance. He looked at me with despair in his eyes, as if still clinging to the faint hope that I might take pity on him. Now I finally understand why Ningning refuses to see you. Shinlanshan kicked him away. Ningshu, you truly don't deserve it. She pulled me along and resolutely went upstairs. That moment seemed to have drained Shinlanshan of all her strength. Back in the room, she leaned against me in silence. After what felt like an eternity, she asked tentatively, does it hurt? What's this? A brain tumor. It must be excruciating. Shinlanshan suddenly sobbed. Ningning, you've suffered so much. Tears came streaming down my face. To be honest, I haven't shed a tear since that first death. No sorrow has ever been worth my tears. Yet somehow, hearing Shinlanshan say those words, I could no longer hold back my tears. That's what true friends are like. She always sees right through my pain and sorrow. No matter how I try to hide, she sees my true self. I remained silent, and Shinlanshan didn't press further. She patted me gently. Like a belated comfort, the pain's gone now. Ningning, it won't hurt anymore. 17. The next day, Shinlanshan dragged me to a medical checkup. The doctor said I was perfectly healthy. I told her not to worry. In my past life, the doctor said this illness stemmed from pent-up anger. Constant unhappiness is what made me sick. Now I'm truly happy. Every day feels fulfilling, and I won't fall ill again. On the way home, Shinlanshan made a wish to the turtle in the pond. I asked, what are you doing? Shoo, I answered it for you. Answered what? May my daughter live as long and healthy as this turtle. Me, touched yet annoyed. What's going on with me? Ever since learning about her past life, Shinlanshan changed. She stopped obsessing over shopping and entertainment. She returned home and began working seriously, getting involved in the family business. She vowed to gradually dismantle Ningshu's company to avenge me. Shinlanshan truly took after her brother, a quick learner with ruthless efficiency. Ningshu found himself constantly under her attacks, overwhelmed and too preoccupied to bother with me. I was finally able to enjoy a period of peace. Christmas came around in the blink of an eye. I'd made plans to spend it with Shindu. We started talking about how Shinlanshan was doing lately. I said, aren't you going to rein in your little sister? Just let her be. The Ning family's company makes for perfect practice. I nearly spat out my drink. So in Shindu's eyes, Ningshu was just practice material. To be honest, if Shanshan doesn't take him down, I will. Why? I can't stand him. Lost in thought, Shindu leaned in and kissed me. Stop thinking about him. I wasn't. I stopped liking him ages ago. Be good. Feel these abs. If you don't touch them, all my workouts were for nothing. Heavy snow was falling outside. The atmosphere inside grew increasingly intimate. This was the first night Shindu and I spent together. It wasn't until midnight that we finally collapsed into bed, utterly exhausted. Just as drowsiness began to take hold, the electronic beep of fingerprint recognition suddenly pierced the silence. Surprise, Ningning. I came to celebrate the holidays with you. Shinlanshan appeared in the doorway, her suitcase rolling behind her. 18. I got dressed and walked out of the bedroom. You could have told me you were coming. I almost didn't hide your brother in time. Just wanted to surprise you. Here's your Christmas present. How did you get up here then? Someone happened to swipe their card to open the door, so I just followed them in. Shinlanshan and I exchanged gifts. I bought her those new smart glasses she'd been raving about. Had to camp out overnight just to snag a pair on launch day. Shinlanshan put on her glasses, absolutely thrilled. After studying for quite a while, she finally decided to take a break. I'm exhausted. Right after finishing work, I caught the earliest flight, just in time for Christmas. Shinlanshan headed straight for the bedroom. This lady needs her beauty sleep. Wait, I glanced nervously at the wardrobe and stopped her. Girl, you've lost so much weight, work's been draining me, but don't worry, once I take over Ningshu's company, I'll cut you in on the shares. She took off her coat and moved to hang it in the wardrobe. I quickly grabbed her arm. Let me hang that for you. Oh, okay, why do you seem so nervous? Because your brother's hiding in the closet. The mighty CEO of Shin Corporation is now squeezed into my tiny wardrobe. After helping Shin Lanshan hang up her coat, she reached for the wardrobe door again. A sudden knock at the door interrupted her movement. Our attention simultaneously shifted to the doorway. Who could possibly be coming at this late hour? This is a student dorm, we rarely get outsiders, so there's no peephole on the door. I opened the door without hesitation. Ningshu stood outside, arms full of gifts and roses. Shin Lanshan rolled her eyes. Persistent little pest. What do you want now? Ningshu ignored her, looking straight at me as he said, Merry Christmas, Ningning, this is for you. He held out a plush toy, carefully gauging my reaction. It was the exact plushie I'd been longing for. It's a limited edition release every Christmas, affordable but incredibly hard to get. I know Ningshu is acquainted with its designer, yet he's never gifted one to me. But after Shacho came along, he gave her one. You used to love it, do you still like it now? Ningshu asked cautiously. I replied, haven't liked it for ages. He said wistfully, that's alright, keep it anyway. You might rediscover your fondness for it someday. No way. I pushed him away. Take your roses too, you're not welcome here. Ningning, I know you lied about having a boyfriend. What's this? You only said that to spite me. I get it now. How ridiculous. Where does he get that confidence? Hearing this, Shindu inside the room couldn't hold back anymore. He stepped out of the bedroom and said irritably, who are you calling fake, Mr. Ning? Have some self-respect and stop harassing my girlfriend. Even Ningshu was taken aback this time. Shin Lanshan's eyes widened in shock. 10 minutes later, the two men left one after another. Only Shin Lanshan and I remained in the room. We stared at each other in silence. To be precise, the young Miss Shin was clearly upset and giving me the cold shoulder. I offered my apology earnestly. If you're uncomfortable with me dating your brother, I'll break up with him right now. How could romance ever compare to all these years of friendship? Shindu will just have to bear with it. I'm sure he'll understand. I'm not mad about that. Shin Lanshan crossed her arms. I'm furious that after being this close, you kept it from me. And my brother, I'm his only blood sister, his own sister, and he goes after my best friend. How is that acceptable? Don't blame him. I made him keep it from you. Hey Yuashin, didn't we promise to share all our romantic prospects with each other? I sighed. It's my fault. I'm afraid things might not last with your brother. What? Is he treating you badly? I'll go beat him up right now. No, he's wonderful. That's exactly the problem. He's too wonderful. Shindu once told me he'd never been in love before. I was his first relationship. He said he was serious about this, that he was looking for marriage. Marriage, such a weighty word. I said gloomily to Shin Lanshan, you know I was married once. To Ningshu, how it ended, you're aware of that, Ningning. Are you scared? Shin Lanshan saw right through me. Yes, I don't think I'm ready yet, and I don't know how to face your brother. If we ever break up, you'd be caught in the middle. It'd be awkward, so I figured I'd wait until I've sorted myself out before telling you. I see. Shin Lanshan quickly let it go. You know, I've always thought my brother's been acting strange these past few years. What's wrong? Don't you think the timing of his lifeboat deployment was too perfect? And he's invested in some overseas project, apparently researching brain tumors. What's this? I was taken aback. A bold idea suddenly occurred to me. Shin Lanshan and I had the same thought. Holy shit, did he get reincarnated too? 20. I decided to confront Shindu and get to the bottom of this. It was my first time visiting his residence in England. The password is my birthday. Looks like Shindu isn't home. The study door was ajar. And my eyes were immediately drawn to the densely packed documents covering the walls. Every single one was about brain cancer research, how to prevent, how to treat. Right at the center of the documents was a photo of me. It was a picture Shin Lanshan took of me during our freshman year sports meet. I had just finished the 100-meter dash, flashing a victory sign with a smile. A sheet of paper dangled beneath the photo, covered with little notes about me. She loved watching the ocean. But after Shanshan's death, she developed a fear of the sea. She adored a certain brand's bunny plushies, the limited Christmas editions released annually that she never managed to get. She was diagnosed with cancer at 34. To keep her spirits up, take her for regular checkups. Every word is infused with profound, passionate love. To think someone had carefully preserved even the darkest chapter of my life. Shindu appeared silently at the doorway. I knew I couldn't keep it from you. I turned to him. So, you're living a second life too. He nodded. I was reborn on the day of the shipwreck, sent rescue boats immediately, just made it in time. When Shindu realized it was me they'd rescued, he began to suspect we shared the same secret. Shindu, I never realized before, that you, he chuckled, back then, your heart only had room for Ningshu. You saw me as nothing more than your friend's brother. Not even a real friend. I was afraid if I confessed and got rejected, you'd avoid even Shenlanshan. Truth be told, in my past life, my interactions with Shindu were few and far between, and whenever I reject someone, I usually block them and keep my distance. When did you start liking me? He pointed at that freshman year photo. Before this, which means he'd already noticed me back in high school when my classmates and I visited Shenlanshan's place. In my memory, he'd always ask everyone with gentle courtesy, would you like ice cream or some fruit? Turns out, his gaze had been fixed on me all along. A flood of emotions washed over me as I recalled, in your past life, you never married. Because of you, Shindu admitted candidly. After my death, he lived out his remaining years in solitude. On the day he died of old age, he was still clutching that worn-out hair ribbon in his hand. I'd left it behind during my first visit to Shenlanshan's home. The only keepsake I ever left him, Shindu said. Had I known marriage would treat you so poorly, I would've. About what? About stealing you away. I stared into his clear eyes, momentarily speechless. Shindu, have you never resented me? What's there to blame you for? About Shenlanshan's death, you didn't wreck the yacht, you didn't summon the storm. The decision to set sail was entirely Shanshan's. Why on earth would we blame you? He comfortingly ruffled my hair. I don't blame you. Shanshan doesn't blame you. And you shouldn't blame yourself either. Don't blame yourself. Finally, someone said these words to me. My nose stung, and I nearly cried again. Shenlanshan once told me her family were nouveau riche. Ever seen cultured folks name their daughter something so ominous? My parents just thought Lanshan sounded pretty. Didn't even check the dictionary. Their lack of education bit them. So now they're dead serious about me and my brother's schooling. Shenlanshan wasn't lying. Both siblings turned out exceptionally well educated. Ningning, I've waited for you for so long. Shindu pressed a kiss to my forehead, long enough to last a lifetime. Suddenly, I remembered his confession from back then. Would you like to try dating me? So calm and restrained, yet love had long been gathering unseen, year after year, into rushing torrents. Those waters finally came before me one day, mending the shattered pieces of my life, putting me back together bit by bit. Ningning. Thank you, for what? My voice caught in my throat. Thank you, for finally seeing me, Shindu said contentedly. 21. Time flew by in a blur. 2 years later, I successfully completed my graduate studies. At the graduation ceremony, I took the stage as the valedictorian representing our entire college. The Shin siblings came to attend my graduation ceremony. Lanshan Shin has changed a lot. She's grown into a capable professional with the demeanor of a young executive. We call her Little CEO Shin now. The acquisition plan for Ningshu company will be finalized this year. Several UK companies offered me positions, hoping I'd stay, yet I chose to return home. Applying my life's learning to build our nation is my deepest aspiration. After starting work, I met Ningshu a few more times. I only saw him when work demanded it, or when we bumped into each other as classmates, never by choice. Until that final meeting, he asked, Ningning, do I look different to you? I gave him a quick glance. Not really. He paused for a moment, looking dejected. I've lost weight, he said, a lot of weight. Oh, by the way, I said absent-mindedly, barely registering his words. I'm getting married. He froze instantly. Am married, yes. Shindu proposed to me. I'm really happy about it. We're getting married later this year. They say when people feel happy, many burdens just melt away. That's exactly how I feel right now. Even Ningshu doesn't seem so annoying anymore. Want to come? I can send you an invitation. He forced a smile. Sure. Back then, I had no idea. He can't make it. He's ill, with less than 6 months to live. 22. My wedding with Shindu was absolutely magnificent. Shenlanshan was my bridesmaid. She was happier than anyone else. Having my best friend become my sister-in-law means I'll never have to worry about in-law conflicts again, if she fights with my brother. Obviously I'm siding with my girl. Sisters before misters, brothers, never heard of them. Someone asked her, are you and your bestie really that close? I swipe on lipstick to mask my sickly pale lips. Later, Shindu slipped the diamond ring onto my finger. I looked at Shindu and said, I do. Below the stage, Shenlanshan sighed with emotion. I used to think no one deserved to be my sister-in-law. Now all I can say is, Shindu, how did you get so lucky, after the wedding? Ningxu sent gifts through an intermediary. The messenger said he'd gone traveling somewhere far away, he might never come back. I said, oh, well, wish him a pleasant journey. I pretended not to see his obituary. Life is but a fleeting journey between heaven and earth. Ningxu has embarked on his next journey. I too am about to embrace a brand new chapter of life. But I already have the love of my life and the greatest friend in the world. From now on, I shall fear no storm. The end. Story 2. Both Bian Yan and I were bullied at the same time, yet he fell in love with the girl who had been tormenting him. To please her, he abandoned me on the highway. A speeding bus crashed into me. In my last moment of life, I thought the most regretful thing I had ever done was falling for Bian Yan. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the classroom of my 18-year-old high school days. This time, when Tang Yao poured dirty water on Bian Yan again, I didn't step in to protect him. 1. Stinky orphan. No one loves you. He. Who are you pretending to be noble for? The summer sun shone brightly, and in the noisy classroom, I was back in high school once more. Tang Yao poured the dirty water from the glass bottle onto Bian Yan. She was followed by several lackeys. Ugh, it stinks so bad. A group of people burst into laughter. Bian Yan was at a loss, his body soaked, looking like a pitiful little animal. I just lay on the desk, motionless. I was truly curious. Why would a normal person develop feelings for someone who bullied them? In fact, Bian Yan and I could be considered childhood sweethearts. Both of us were orphans, growing up together in the orphanage since we were little. The tuition fees for school were sponsored by the Welfare Institute. In my previous life, due to continuous bullying, Bian Yan struggled in the extreme emotions of self-loathing. I was always by his side, pulling him out of the quagmire. After the college entrance examination, we went to the same university. During our junior year, we started a business together. He was in charge of the overall project planning, and I was responsible for external communication. It took us 4 years to hire employees, establish the company, and reach an annual turnover of over 100 million yuan. I thought we could keep walking together like this, but then Tang Yao came back. Her father's company went bankrupt. At a banquet, she cried to Bian Yan, I'm begging you, I'll do anything, please save my dad. Bian Yan gave her a cold look. What can you offer me? Although he said that, he kept Tang Yao by his side. He not only invested a large sum of money in her father's company but also fulfilled all her wayward demands. He was incredibly good to her. I even stormed into Bian Yan's office and queried him, do you know what you're doing? Her father's company is a bottomless pit with a mountain of bad debts. You're risking all our years of hard work. He looked at me, shook his head, and smiled bitterly. Jixia, you don't understand me. Indeed, I didn't understand him. After he let Tang Yao slap me, I decided to leave Bian Yan, but there were too many funds jointly involved between Bian Yan and me. And it wasn't easy to divide them up immediately, especially that year. There was a huge project that required both of us to participate, but I never expected that on the way to that project, he would bring Tang Yao along. I lost my temper for the first time. This was a project plan I had prepared for a whole year. What was he thinking bringing Tang Yao with him? But Tang Yao said to him, Bian Yan, since Sister Qixia doesn't like me so much, just leave her here, too. After having dirty water poured on him, Bian Yan instinctively looked back at me. Yes, every time he was bullied, I would immediately step forward, stand in front of him, and confront Tang Yao aggressively, even though I knew I was no match for her. She was a rich kid, surrounded by a group of friends, and none of them were easy to deal with. I averted my gaze. I completely ignored the pleading look he cast at me. Yo. Even Qixia won't help you this time. So funny. What are you going to do? Cry or kneel down and beg for mercy? Ha. I listened to these words without any emotional fluctuation. I even yawned. In my previous life, I became the target of Tang Yao's bullying because I helped Bian Yan. If I hadn't meddled, I could have had nothing to do with that group of people at all. Qixia, what's going on? Why are you just standing by? Tang Yao was shocked to see me like this. She walked over, crossed her arms, and knocked hard on my desk. I picked up my textbook and started flipping through it. I'm not his nanny. I have no obligation to take care of him. Hearing this, Bian Yan's face changed instantly. His eyes were red, his palms tightly clenched, and he called me softly, Xia. I frowned in annoyance, pretended not to hear, and turned another page of the book. Tang Yao covered her mouth and laughed. Seriously, aren't you two childhood sweethearts? Classmate Qixia, would you be willing to swap seats with me? I casually replied, whatever. Bian Yan and I had been desk mates for 3 years in high school. During school, Tang Yao always wanted to swap seats with me to sit next to Bian Yan, but I firmly refused. Even when Tang Yao brought the teacher over, I clearly stated that casually changing seats would affect my studies, and I didn't want to be disturbed, since my grades were consistently in the top 10 of the grade. The teacher hesitated, although the Tang family had influence. The teacher didn't want to risk a student's grades, but this time, I simply nodded. If you want to swap, we can do it right now. As I spoke, I started packing up the exercise books on my desk. Xia, what's wrong with you? It was Bian Yan. He suddenly grabbed my wrist, looked at me intently, his lips trembling, and his voice tinged with grievance. What did I do to make you angry? I sighed, then I shook off Bian Yan's hand. Don't call me Xia anymore. 3. I carried my school bag and walked to Tang Yao's seat. I could vaguely guess why Tang Yao wanted to swap seats. A big part of it must be because of her deskmate, He Tingzhou. I stole a quick glance at the gloomy teenager sitting beside me, not daring to say much, and quietly started arranging my books. In my previous life, I didn't have much interaction with He Tingzhou, but I still had a deep impression of him. He came from a wealthy family. His father was a well-known real estate tycoon, and his mother was an artist. His life should have been smooth sailing, but in primary school, he had a serious car accident that left his calf disabled, and he could no longer stand up. From then on, he was confined to a wheelchair. He Tingzhou was taciturn and rarely talked to those around him. Although Tang Yao was the queen bee in the class, she didn't dare to offend him. My knowledge of him mainly came from the grade rankings after each exam. He Tingzhou's name was almost always at the top. I thought his abilities combined with his family background would lead to a bright future for him. However, that wasn't the case. It wasn't until a class reunion after college that I learned he had passed away, committing suicide by cutting his wrists, because he could no longer bear his identity as a disabled person. Xia, stand up and answer this question. I was lost in my thoughts when I suddenly heard my name called. Before I knew it, the class bell had rung. It was a physics class. The middle-aged, slightly bald physics teacher stood on the podium, staring at me with a dark expression. In my previous life, I always felt that this teacher disliked me for no apparent reason. Perhaps it was because among all the subjects, physics was my weakest. Looking at the long string of questions on the blackboard, I took a deep breath, tried to recall my high school knowledge, and slowly, with hesitation, stated my solution. Is that all? The physics teacher tapped the podium with the eraser. Classmate Xia, your performance has declined. I was at a loss for words. It wasn't that my skills had declined, it was just that my mind hadn't solved such problems for years. Just as I was feeling embarrassed, a note was suddenly passed to me. The handwriting on it was neat and clean. It showed a concise and efficient solution. Along with the answer, my deskmate, He Tingzhou, still didn't look up. His long fingers gently turned a page of the textbook. On that page were the key points of this lesson. He was helping me out. I gave him a grateful look. Collecting my thoughts, my past physics knowledge gradually came back to me, and I gave the answer. He Tingzhou truly lived up to his reputation as a genius. He could come up with such an excellent solution in such a short time. All right, sit down. The teacher pursed his lips and casually criticized me. Pay attention in the future. Don't daydream in class. When solving problems, think comprehensively and don't forget to consider the second scenario. 4. I suddenly realized that the withdrawn and gloomy teenager might not be as scary as he seemed. He might just be sensitive and vulnerable. I grew up in an orphanage, surrounded by children with similar experiences. Some had lost both parents, and their relatives refused to take care of them, so they had to live there. Some were born with disabilities, such as blindness or severe physical problems, and were abandoned at the orphanage gate at birth. Very few of us grew up happily and carefree. Most of us were self-abased and introverted. We yearned for others' care but dared not take the first step. Although He Tingzhou came from a wealthy family, he was actually quite similar to us. I wanted to give it a try and be the one to extend the olive branch first. More importantly, although I had always been at the top of my class in high school, after all these years, I had forgotten most of the basic knowledge. I urgently needed someone to help me review. I decided to ask the academic genius, He Tingzhou, to be my teacher. The next day, I placed the cookies I made on He Tingzhou's desk. His hand holding the pen paused. He looked up and stared straight at me. I tried to give him a sincere smile. He Tingzhou, thank you for helping me in yesterday's physics class. These are my token of gratitude. He glanced at the cookies. He casually asked, did you make these? Yes, I was confident in my cooking skills. There weren't many caregivers in the orphanage. Since I was 6 or 7 years old, I had to learn to take care of myself. doing laundry, cleaning, and cooking were all routine tasks. When Bien Yen was a child, he was very skinny, and sometimes his lunch would be snatched away by older kids, to make sure he didn't go hungry. I would sneak into the kitchen at night to see what food I could cook. That's when I learned how to make cookies and other snacks. He casually picked one up and put it in his mouth. "How is it?" I asked nervously. Tingzhou didn't give a definite answer. His right index finger tapped on the table, as if he could see through my thoughts. "You're weak in electromagnetism," I nodded quickly. He gently pushed an exercise book towards me and opened it to the middle. "Start from here. Pay special attention to the questions I marked." 5. Just like that, with a box of cookies, I managed to get a little closer to Tingzhou. After that, I often brought some small snacks. They weren't expensive, and almost all of them were made by me in the morning. He and I had a similar habit of sorting out knowledge points in the early morning, during the break after morning self-study, just as I was concentrating on the questions in Tingzhou's exercise book. A panicked cry suddenly came from the 2 rows in front of me. It was Bien Yan's voice. Caught off guard, I instinctively looked up in that direction. Almost all the classmates in the class were drawn to the commotion. Those sitting far away even leaned forward, curiously peering over. Bien Yan stood up from his seat, his face pale, his lips quivering continuously. There was a piece of plasticine on the desk with red spots on it. Upon closer inspection, several sharp, jagged objects were protruding from it. It was as if someone had cut a blade into sharp pieces and stuffed them inside. "God, blood, there's blood," a girl sitting by the aisle exclaimed. Only then did I notice that there was a noticeable wound on Bien Yan's hand hanging by his side, with blood dripping onto the floor. "You didn't even last 10 seconds. Why did you let go?" Tang Yao rolled her eyes. She poked Bien Yan's stomach with a ruler. "You lose this game." Bien Yan lowered his head and said softly, "I didn't know there was a blade in the eraser. Please don't play such dangerous games anymore." What a buzzkill. Tang Yao's face fell. She took back the ruler and slammed it hard on the desk. With a loud snap, the ruler made a clear sound and bounced onto the chair in front. After watching for a while, many people understood what had happened. It was just that the young miss was bored today and came up with a new way to torment the commoners. "Yao Yao, the poor wretch was scared to death by you today. He looks like he's about to cry." Several of her friends leaned in and whispered in her ear. Tang Yao snorted and turned to look at Bien Yan. He had just sat down, looking dazed. "Hey, are you really going to cry?" Tang Yao suddenly gave him a hard push. "Alright, I'll take you to the school infirmary. We don't want you to get infected." "Huh?" Bien Yan looked up in a daze. I was copying a big question from the blackboard and happened to meet his gaze. He shook his head. "No need, I can take care of it myself." 6. In my previous life, Bien Yan was always behind me. This was the first time I had observed his interaction with Tang Yao so directly. It was a very strange feeling. That Tang Yao is quite something, Tingzhou said as he threw a folded paper crane into a glass bottle, slap someone in the face and then offer a sweet date. What a way to psychologically manipulate people. The first day I sat next to him, I discovered that he had the hobby of paper folding, which didn't match his aloof persona at all. Constant physical torture and verbal abuse. Just when you're on the verge of despair and can't take it anymore, she'll pat your head and offer a little comfort, then you'll be overjoyed. Feeling guilty for all your previous struggles and resistance, you might even feel an illusory sense of gratitude, thinking, "Ah, she's actually so good to me." Was that really the case? My mind was in a jumble, and I kept stabbing the scratch paper with the tip of my pen. I didn't even notice when Bien Yan came up beside me. "Xia." He stood by my desk, his shadow falling on my book pages. "My hand is injured. Can you bandage it for me?" In the past, without him asking, I would have already taken his hand forwardly and gotten out the alcohol and gauze. No, perhaps I wouldn't have even allowed him to get hurt in the first place. I would have grabbed Tang Yao by the collar, pinned her to the ground, and told her, "Want to play games? I'll play with you." But now, I knew that some people weren't worth your efforts. "The school infirmary is open 24 hours a day. I'm sure you know where it is," I said coldly, turning my attention back to the half-finished problem at hand. But Bien Yan forced a smile. This time, he directly placed his hand on my desk. "Xia, it really hurts." The wound on his hand was clearly deep, blood was still seeping out, even dripping onto my desk. I was really getting irritated. I didn't know if I had been too good to Bien Yan in the past, which led him to develop the habit of relying on me. "Take your hand away, it's dirty," Tingzhou suddenly interjected. Looking up from his textbook, he grabbed a few tissues and threw them over. "Wipe it up quickly. If you want to play such stupid games, don't mess up other people's desks. The air seemed to freeze for a moment. I had to admit, He Tingzhou knew how to strike at the heart. Bian Yan slowly suppressed the smile on his lips, and his back straightened little by little. He actually picked up the tissues He Tingzhou had thrown over, gripping them with his slender fingers and vigorously wiping his wound. Some pieces of paper stuck to the surface of the wound. Just looking at it made me wince. He actually had a bit of pride in his bones. Let's switch seats. He stared directly into He Tingzhou's eyes. Qi Xia and I have always been desk mates. There's no need to separate us. Oh, so what? He Tingzhou smiled. What does that have to do with me? I like this seat and don't want to move at all. Besides, aren't you going to ask classmate Qi Xia if she wants to sit with you? He Tingzhou took out another piece of paper from his metal box and started folding a paper crane nonchalantly. The question was now directed at me, but Bian Yan didn't ask me, as if he was afraid to hear the answer from me. Thankfully, the class bell rang. The homeroom teacher walked in, carrying a large stack of test papers. She looked at Bian Yan and exclaimed, "Goodness, what happened?" Thanks to the teacher's intervention, the restless atmosphere in the class finally subsided. 7. This wound clearly looks like it was caused by a sharp object. The homeroom teacher walked over, grabbed Bian Yan's wrist, and frowned, her tone serious. How could such a dangerous thing happen in the classroom? Tell me, exactly what happened. I guessed that he definitely wouldn't mention Tang Yao's name. Sure enough, Bian Yan bit his lip and remained silent. The homeroom teacher was obviously dissatisfied with this answer. She randomly pointed at a student who had her head down. You. Tell me what exactly happened during the last break. The girl kept her head down, stammering, and finally managed to squeeze out, I went to the restroom. I don't know. No one wanted to offend Tang Yao. The teacher sighed, looking helpless. She asked the monitor to accompany Bian Yan to the infirmary and then started the class. In the next few days after this incident, there was a period of peace between Tang Yao and Bian Yan. It seemed like everything was over, coincidentally. The mid-term exam was approaching, and I was so busy preparing that I didn't have time to pay attention to them, and He Tingzhou and I seemed to have more and more topics in common. I was surprised to find that when I was in primary school, I had even been to the wealthy area where He Tingzhou lived. At that time, a wealthy merchant donated a large sum of money to our orphanage. He was very old and had no children. His only wish was for some children to visit him often. In the year before he passed away, we went to see him almost every month. Sometimes we sang and talked with him, and sometimes we just listened quietly as he told stories about the past. I learned about this coincidence when I was pushing He Tingzhou's wheelchair along the corridor. From being cold and distant at first, he now tacitly allowed me to take him around the school. When he was in a good mood, he would even let me give him a quick sprint on the playground. Our relationship was progressing rapidly. I couldn't help but raise my voice and ask, He Tingzhou, we might have met before. He ignored me, although I said that, I thought that even if we had met before, after all these years, we surely wouldn't remember. We just reached the corner of the stairs. Just as I was about to push him around, I suddenly heard the voices of Tang Yao and her cronies. First came the dissatisfied complaints of her lackeys. Yao Yao. Hasn't your dad scolded you these past few days? I've disliked that homeroom teacher for a long time. It was such a small thing, yet she still called the parents. It must have been that low-life Bian Yan who snitched. Tang Yao stomped her foot and snorted. I was too nice to him these past few days. He's getting too bold, even changing seats with He Tingzhou. I have to teach him a lesson. 8. After saying these words, Tang Yao slapped the door of the adjacent classroom hard. The iron door creaked. It was locked. Let's go. Never mind it, someone said. After these people left, chatting and laughing, via the front stairs, I pushed He Tingzhou out. That classroom was a storage room. It had a dark green painted door, and inside were discarded teaching aids and equipment. It was only opened once every few months. There were no windows, and it was dim and gloomy. Looking at the backs of Tang Yao and the others as they left, I felt that something was off about this. From what they said, it seemed that when Bian Yan was cut by the knife, the homeroom teacher had called Tang Yao's parents, and these people suspected that Bian Yan had snitched, although it was almost certain that things weren't as they thought. Given their personalities, they would surely seek revenge. I looked at this storage room. Could it be that they locked Bian Yan inside? Actually, I didn't care what happened to Bian Yan at all. But then I suddenly remembered that this person suffered from claustrophobia. Bian Yan was brought to the Welfare Institute by the police. He was very young, around 4 or 5 years old. The neighbors called the police because there was a foul smell coming from his house. When the police arrived, they found that both his parents had committed suicide at home. He was huddled up, hiding in the closet for several days. If a meticulous female police officer hadn't opened the closet door, he might have been overlooked. When the female police officer carried Bien Yen out, he had wounds all over his body, wounds from being whipped with a belt, beaten with a stool, and even from having nails dug into his skin and twisted. The neighbor stood at the door, covering their nose with one hand and saying in disgust, "That couple was crazy, they fought every day." After the fights, when they were in a bad mood, they would beat the child. Every night, we could hear the child crying. It was so annoying. I thought they would die with their son, but they had a bit of conscience and left the child alive. When Bien Yen introduced himself at the Welfare Institute for the first time, he said, "My name is Bien Yen." Some children laughed and said, "What a strange name, your parents must hate you." Bien Yen looked around nervously. Later, he told me, "Shasha. I envy you so much. Your parents died saving others. My parents always beat me. Sometimes when they didn't want to hit me anymore, my mom would lock me in the closet for a long time and only let me out when she remembered. But I'm so afraid of the dark." I told her I was scared so many times, but she didn't believe me. Shasha. I wish so much that my parents loved me. What did I say then? I took hold of Bien Yan's wrist. I said, "Don't be afraid, I won't let anyone bully you again." 9. I raised my hand and knocked on the door of the storage room. When Bien Yan was locked in a dark, closed room, he would often become anxious, feel suffocated, and might even hurt himself. Just as I was about to lean in and listen for any movement inside, my sleeve was suddenly tugged. He Tingzhou beside me frowned, looking a bit unwell. "Qixia, I don't feel well." I bent down and asked, "What's wrong?" He clutched his stomach. "My stomach hurts. If something really happened to He Tingzhou, I wouldn't be able to handle it alone." I quickly pushed him to the infirmary. Rushing in, I shouted, "Teacher, a student isn't feeling well." The school nurse, wearing a white coat, came out from the inner room. When he saw He Tingzhou, he exclaimed, "Ah, if it isn't classmate He." I was taken aback, thinking that He Tingzhou must be a frequent visitor to the infirmary. "What's the matter today?" The nurse washed his hands, took the wheelchair from me, and pushed He Tingzhou into the inner room. He glanced at me and nodded. "You're his classmate. Wait here." I agreed and sat on the sickbed in the outer room. The inner and outer rooms were separated by a curtain. Although I couldn't see what was happening, I could faintly hear some of the conversation. After a while, the nurse's voice came out. "There's nothing serious. Have you been eating regularly these days? It's not a big deal. Just remember to go for a medical check-up at the hospital regularly. Call me if you feel uncomfortable." Soon, the nurse pushed He Tingzhou back out to me. He kept his head down, and I couldn't see his expression clearly. I couldn't help but wonder, was there really something wrong with He Tingzhou's health? If he wasn't actually feeling unwell, why did he drag me to the infirmary? My mind was filled with these thoughts, and I didn't speak for a while. He Tingzhou was the first to break the silence. He coughed twice and looked up at me. "Qixia, I have something I want to give you." "What is it?" 10. It was PE class at the moment. Most of the students were freely moving around on the playground. He Tingzhou and I had sneaked out. I originally wanted to get the academic genius to give me some extra lessons and explain a couple more problems, but instead, we ran into Tang Yao and her group. Our plan was disrupted. I turned to him and asked, "A gift, for me?" He Tingzhou nodded slightly. "It's in the classroom." I thought that since I often brought him small cookies in the morning, he was reciprocating with some corresponding small items, but it wasn't that. He took out a glass bottle from his desk drawer. Inside were the paper cranes he had been folding. They were in various colors, probably several hundred of them. I was stunned and, at a loss for words, asked an inappropriate question. "He Tingzhou, how did you develop such a strange hobby?" As soon as the words came out, I realized how impolite I was being. What kind of behavior was this? Instead of immediately accepting the gift and saying thank you, I was blabbering nonsense. My face instantly turned red, and I waved my hands in a panic. "No, that's not what I meant." But He Tingzhou wasn't angry. He looked at me seriously and smiled. "Qixia, you were the one who gave me my first paper crane." His expression was completely serious, not at all like he was joking. 10 years ago, he opened the jar, took one out, and placed it in my hand. "Do you remember? 10 years ago, it turned out that during the year when I visited the wealthy merchant with the caregivers from the Welfare Institute, I really had met He Tingzhou." My memories came flooding back all at once. At that time, I would occasionally see a little boy sitting alone in a wheelchair. His house wasn't far from the merchant's. It had a beautiful garden, and he would often be there, with a thin blanket over his legs, quietly gazing outside. There were many disabled children in the Welfare Institute, and we were used to seeing them, but his eyes looked exceptionally lonely and sad. The last time we were leaving, I took out a paper crane from my school bag. I had folded it out of the colorful paper on the cabinet at the merchant's house when I was bored. I ran over, reached my hand through the railing outside the garden, and handed it to him. Here, it's for you. He didn't say anything, just looked at me, that Grandpa said. I pointed to the merchant's house beside us. Paper cranes can carry people up to the sky. I'm giving you one so you can fly out of this garden and take a look. 11. I held that small piece of folded paper. So the paper crane from 10 years ago had, after many twists and turns, returned to my hands. I've been waiting for you to come back, He Tingzhou said softly. He gently tapped on the glass jar. Later, I started folding paper cranes, since you used to come on weekends. I would fold one every weekend, like a pitiful little child making a wish, but you never showed up again. I sat down. For a moment, I even felt guilty. I didn't know that such a small action of mine could have had such a big impact on He Tingzhou. He looked up at the sky outside the window, as if recalling the past. At that time, I had my leg injured in an accident, and my whole world turned dark. My family was wealthy, and I had the best doctors treating me. My parents still seemed to love me. But I knew that I would never be the same as others again. When you came, my mother had just gotten pregnant. She smiled and asked me, Tingzhou, you're going to have a little brother, aren't you happy? I wasn't happy. I felt abandoned, but I couldn't say it. If I did, everyone would think I was being willful and selfish. So, Qixia, when you said the paper crane could take me away, I really wanted to leave with you. At this moment, He Tingzhou truly showed his vulnerable and sensitive side for the first time, afraid of being abandoned, afraid of being treated as an outsider. I took a deep breath and finally said, He Tingzhou, no one will abandon you this time. He tilted his head. And a charming smile appeared on his lips. Really, even if Bian Yan comes, you'll still choose me. I was a bit confused. Why compare yourself to that guy? I have nothing to do with him. Yes, Qixia, he doesn't deserve it. He Tingzhou reached out and held my fingers. I sometimes wonder why, since He Tingzhou knew me so long ago, he never mentioned it to me in our past life. Back then, we were like two parallel lines, moving straight in one direction without any intersection. A long time later, when we were already in college, he took over the business of an important department in his father's company, and I was preparing to pursue a master's degree. On weekends, we went on dates to coffee shops. I was poring over the formulas in my professional textbooks while he leaned over and insisted on playing with my hair. Suddenly, I thought of something. He Tingzhou, if I hadn't sat next to you in high school, wouldn't we have gone our separate ways? He shook his head and said cockily, I would have written you love letters. When you saw them, you'd definitely be moved to tears by our fate. I gave him a light tap on the head. Humph. I just took his words as a casual joke. After all, in my past life, I never saw any love letters. 12. I closed the lid of the paper crane jar and put it in my backpack. After a while, the bell rang, signaling the end of the PE class. Students gradually returned to the classroom, including Tang Yao and her friends. They were chatting and laughing, looking extremely happy. There were still 2 self-study periods in the afternoon before school ended. During these 2 periods, many students would skip class and go home early, without a teacher's supervision. About 1/3 of the classroom would usually be empty, and this time, Bian Yan was also absent. He still hadn't shown up by the next morning. It was the 2nd period. And the homeroom teacher quickly noticed that some students were missing when she looked at the classroom. Did Bian Yan ask for leave? She called the class monitor out. The monitor shook his head, clearly not knowing anything about it. Due to Bian Yan's special circumstances, there were no parents to contact, and the only option was to call the Welfare Institute if they needed to reach his guardian. Although it was troublesome, it seemed to be the only way for now. The scene of seeing Tang Yao and the others in front of the storage room the previous day flashed through my mind. I never expected them to go so far as to lock Bian Yan in the storage room for so long. If this matter was delayed any further, it would become very serious. Teacher, I seemed to hear some noises near the storage room yesterday. I raised my hand and stood up. The storage room. The homeroom teacher was taken aback, then quickly understood. She randomly pointed at several students. Monitor, Qixia, you all come with me. After thinking for a moment, she pointed at Tang Yao. You come too. When the security guard arrived with the key, the storage room was immediately opened. It was pitch dark inside, and the air smelled like rusty iron sheets, damp and musty. There were all kinds of unused sports equipment scattered on the floor, and we had to be careful not to trip with every step. The security guard fumbled with the wall outside the corridor for a long time before finally finding the light switch. The moment the lights came on, it was so blinding that it almost made us close our eyes. "Isn't that Bien Yen?" someone suddenly exclaimed. "My God, what happened to him? Someone call 120. Bien Yen was curled up inside a cabinet in the corner, hugging his body tightly with his arms. Beside his feet was a piece of iron that had fallen off some equipment. His arms were covered with deep blood marks from being scratched by the iron piece. He slowly raised his head, revealing his wet eyes, but there was no light in his gaze. He murmured softly, "Dad, Mom, shush ya, I'm scared, 13, shush ya." Bien Yen saw me at the first glance. He stood up shakily, walked through the crowd, and hugged me tightly. "Xia, I knew you'd come, I knew you'd come for me." His voice was filled with grievance, confusion, and cautious dependence. "You said you'd never leave me." He stretched out his arms, showing those deep and shallow wounds. "It hurts, but I told myself that you wouldn't abandon me." It would take a while for the ambulance to arrive. Seeing the student in this state, the homeroom teacher's previous anxiety turned into anger. "Who did this prank? If no one says anything, we'll check the surveillance." This kind of atmosphere in the class has been around for a long time, and it's time to put a stop to it. After saying that, she stormed out of the storage room, asking the security guard to take her to the surveillance room and telling the monitor to notify her when the doctor arrived. "Damn, so pathetic. You're good at snitching, aren't you, little Miss Innocent?" Tang Yao crossed her arms, leaned against the wall, and looked at us coldly. I pushed Bien Yen away and faced her. "What do you mean? Don't you understand what I mean? Didn't you just tattle to the homeroom teacher in class? Trying to get back at me? Huh, if I really get punished, none of you will get away with it." "Humph, I didn't want to interfere when she bullied Bien Yen some time ago, but today, she came here to cause trouble again. Why should I put up with this?" I was about to go over and argue with her when Bien Yen suddenly stepped in front of me. "Tang Yao, it was you who locked me in the storage room. It's not fair for you to say such things about Xia," Bien Yen said, "in both this life and my past life." This was the first time he stood up to Tang Yao for me. Tang Yao was as surprised as I was. After a moment of shock, she clearly showed her dissatisfaction. She raised her hand and slapped Bien Yen across the face. "What's wrong with what I said about Xia? I can say whatever I want about her. What are you babbling on about here? Bien Yen, you're so funny. Do you like her or something?" Seeing the situation getting out of control, the class monitor jumped in to mediate. "Come on. We're all classmates. Let's talk this out. Tang Yao, don't be impulsive. Bien Yen, just apologize and it'll be over." Unfortunately, our class monitor was known for being a pushover. His feeble words were not enough to calm the chaos. Tang Yao grabbed Bien Yen by the collar and said each word mockingly. "Little orphan, I advise you to give up. Your Shasha doesn't want you anymore. She's already with that cripple He Tingzhou in the class. Even though he's disabled, his family is rich, and he's good at studying. What do you have, besides your looks? Ask yourself, what does a stinky orphan like you, with no parents, have?" 14. Shut up. Bien Yan's face instantly turned extremely pale. He looked panicked but didn't dare to look at me. He just held on to Tang Yao tightly and kept repeating, "Shut up. I told you to shut up." "I won't. Did you know? They skipped PE class together yesterday afternoon and sneaked into the classroom. Who knows what they were doing? Someone even saw them holding hands after school." Your Shashia was so happy. Bien Yen suddenly became extremely agitated, perhaps because he had been in that enclosed and dark environment for too long. The feeling of anxiety and unease still hadn't left him. He suddenly grabbed Tang Yao by the neck and growled, "I told you to stop talking, don't you understand?" At this moment, he didn't look like the vulnerable and pitiful student who was bullied in high school. Instead, he was more like the decisive and ruthless leader he would become in the business world later. I immediately had a bad feeling and rushed up to try to pull Bien Yan's arm, but I was a step too late. He pushed Tang Yao against the railing, his eyes red and his voice trembling. "You're the one who's despicable, who gave you the right to spread rumors." Tang Yao was also scared at this point. But she was used to being willful and arrogant, so she didn't back down. "What do you mean by rumors? It's the truth. Maybe they've even kissed already." She was shouting and struggling as she spoke, but before she could finish, Bien Yen grabbed her neck and exerted a sudden, strong force. The two of them were grappling when, suddenly, Bien Yen flipped over and dragged Tang Yao over the railing. The monitor and I rushed to the railing. They fell from the 6th floor corridor, entangled with each other. Panicked screams filled the air. "Someone's committing suicide. People are dead." I ran downstairs frantically, getting closer and closer, until it felt like the blood under Bien Yen was spreading to my feet. The ambulance finally arrived, but it was too late. When the medical staff got out of the ambulance, they seemed a bit confused. I thought it was about claustrophobia. What's going on now? Make way. Make way. Why are there two people? I slowly stepped back as the crowd gradually engulfed me. Someone took my hand. It was warm. Chi Xia, are you okay? I turned around. It was He Tingzhou. He looked at me quietly. My throat tightened. It took a long time before I could finally say, He Tingzhou, they're both dead, he said, but I'll be with you from now on. Always. The sky was very blue that day. I saw myself reflected in He Tingzhou's eyes, looking a bit lost and bewildered. Later, at certain moments, I would occasionally think about Bien Yen. What kind of mood was he in when he pushed Tang Yao downstairs? Was it anger, helplessness, or fear? But no matter what the truth was, my life was truly no longer related to him. I loved the person who wholeheartedly cared only for me. Side story. Bien Yen. 1. I couldn't get in touch with Chi Xia. She didn't reply to my WeChat messages, and her phone was unreachable. This was the first time this had happened. For a moment, I wondered if she was still angry about me bringing Tang Yao to the entrepreneurship conference. But then I thought Chi Xia was being unreasonable. She should know that Tang Yao didn't have much ability and needed some impressive resumes to enhance her image. Until one day, after a meeting, I received a phone call. I felt inexplicably irritable the whole day. Tang Yao was making coffee next to me, and I casually put the call on speaker. Mr. Bien, hello, this is the police station. A few days ago, we handled a traffic accident at the expressway exit in the provincial capital. A young woman died. I wonder if you know her. My temples were throbbing. Tang Yao placed the coffee beside me. That damned policeman kept talking. Since she has no parents or relatives, we found that you were the friend she contacted the most. Would you be available to come and take care of Chi Xia's final arrangements? I angrily threw my phone away. Nonsense. What are you talking about? The call ended with a beeping sound. Liars. Tang Yao crossed her arms, leaned against the wall, and looked at me coldly. Haven't you seen the news? A few days ago, on the expressway we took to the conference, a bus lost control and killed a woman. I found Tang Yao so detestable for the first time and interrupted her sharply. Get out. She looked at me in disbelief. What did you say? I repeated. Get out of here. Fine. You said it yourself. Don't beg me to come back. Bien Yen, too. Chi Xia couldn't be dead. A long time ago, in the orphanage, she told me she would never leave me. So when I went to the police station and saw her body, I still couldn't believe it. I clenched my fists tightly. I realized that I was actually afraid of the truth, so afraid that I was shaking. Sign here. The policeman's voice was cold and matter of fact. My voice was hoarse. Actually, I wanted to ask if she had said anything before she died, but I knew there wouldn't be anything. Especially nothing about me. After that, I found that my emotions were becoming more and more unstable. I became irritable and prone to anger, often falling into bouts of emptiness and confusion. I went back to the orphanage and donated a large sum of money. The director treated me like an important person. Mr. Bien, our caregivers often tell the children about you. They all say they want to follow your example. I looked at these children. They were as small and pitiful as I once was. But I didn't feel any closeness. Instead, I felt a bit of disgust. I said, I want to take a walk around the orphanage by myself. The director didn't suspect anything and thought I was just nostalgic for my childhood. I walked alone and came to the dormitory area. The children had been taken away by the caregivers for activities, and it was empty now. I opened the door and immediately saw the room where Chi Xia used to live. Of course, her things were no longer there. But I still felt like I could see traces of her presence, like that small single bed, the worn-out bedside table, and the wooden wardrobe. I closed my eyes and recalled the scenes from when I was a child, excitedly coming here to find her every night. Vaguely, it seemed like she was still here, sitting by the bed waiting for me. My Xia. I opened the wardrobe and hid inside. Would my Xia come to find me? 3. It was 2 days later when my assistant finally found me. He couldn't get in touch with me. And when my phone wasn't working, he had no choice but to drive to the orphanage. The director thought I had left without saying goodbye, but when they checked the surveillance, they found that I was actually hiding in a child's wardrobe. Everyone was shocked. My unstable mental condition could no longer be hidden. The company hired a renowned psychiatrist for me. She was an expert on the verge of retirement, with a gentle and pleasant voice, gradually guiding me to talk about the past. So, you were the one who left Chi Xia on the highway, right? Yes. I closed my eyes, feeling as if my head was being struck by a sledgehammer. Tang Yao even reminded me that there were no cameras in that area, so no one would see it. My heart was flooded with remorse and pain, like waves crashing. I longed to go back in time and change everything. However, the doctor still didn't show any sign of blaming me. She simply asked, "Have you ever thought about why you're so tolerant of Tang Yao? She bullied you, humiliated you, and looked down on you. Do you really like her?" I shook my head. I couldn't answer this question. After a long while, I said, "I just hoped she would be nicer to me." "Maybe you're just projecting your feelings for others onto her." The doctor poured me a glass of warm water. "The lack of parental love during your childhood made you feel that there was a missing piece in your life. Perhaps Tang Yao's appearance just reminded you of the darkest period of your life. She made your life so miserable, but sometimes she also gave you a little bit of sweetness, this tiny bit of kindness, which would be insignificant to an ordinary person, was magnified infinitely against the backdrop of the pain she inflicted, but you forgot about the girl who always stayed by your side, helped you grow, and would never dream of hurting you. Bian Yen, you need to learn to love. Don't let yourself be manipulated by PUA." When I got back to the villa, I found that Tang Yao had actually returned. She was sitting on the sofa nonchalantly. When she saw me enter, she stood up immediately and threw her arms around my neck. "Bian Yen, you're back. I heard you went to the hospital. Something was missing in the villa." I pushed her away. "Where are Qixia's things?" I snapped. She didn't care. What's the point of keeping things belonging to a dead person? It's so unlucky. I was almost driven mad with anger. Those were my only remaining memories of Qixia, and she had thrown them away. Trembling, I suddenly slapped Tang Yao across the face. She stared at me with wide eyes. Then, slowly, the corners of her lips turned up in a strange smile. "Bian Yen, you're disgusting. Do you know what I found in your desk today? Love letters that He Tingzhou wrote to Qixia in high school. It turns out they knew each other since primary school. If it weren't for you, Qixia might have been with He Tingzhou a long time ago. It was you withheld He Tingzhou's love letters, making him think that Qixia didn't remember him or like him at all. If they had been together, would Qixia still be dead?" Tang Yao always knew exactly how to hit me where it hurt. Yes, in the final analysis, I was the one who caused Qixia's death. Tang Yao took slow steps towards me. Her hand gently caressed my face and then stopped at my throat, lightly gripping it. "Actually, Qixia and I could be considered childhood sweethearts. Your pure and innocent Xiaxia should go to heaven," she said, standing on tiptoe as if she were going to kiss me. "Yes, someone as vicious, calculating, and greedy as her. We should die together." I pulled open the drawer of the desk and took out a pistol. At a banquet once, a senior executive from a rival company tried to insult Qixia. I picked up a wine bottle and smashed it over his head, but I still couldn't rest easy, so I bought a gun. In case something like that ever happened again, I wanted to make sure Qixia wouldn't be harmed. "Tang Yao, a despicable and cruel woman like you will never be loved by anyone." I pressed the gun against her chest and pulled the trigger. She looked at me in disbelief. Blood spattered all over me. The last bullet, I saved it for myself.